One text message, one wrong number, one man who should never have answered. Lena Cross thought heartbreak was the worst thing that could happen on a rain-soaked night in the city. She was wrong. When grief and rage blurred her judgment, she sent a venomous message meant to end her cheating boyfriend. But it reached Adrian Voss instead, a man whose quiet voice carries the weight of power, a man whose world operates in shadows the law can't touch. 2 words. Who is this? And everything changed. This is her story. Watch until the end, hit like, and drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this tale travels. Rain didn't fall on the city that night. It attacked. It hammered the cracked pavement, turned gutters into rivers, and drummed against windows like fists demanding entry. Inside apartment 4B on 7th and Marlowe, Lena Cross sat on the floor with her back against the couch, phone clutched in both hands, mascara streaking down her face in dark rivers that mirrored the storm outside. The evidence glowed on the screen. Screenshots, timestamps, messages between Jake and some girl named Amber with a heart emoji next to her name. 3 months. 3 months of working late and guys' night out, and baby, you're being paranoid. 3 months of lies while Lena planned a future that never existed. Her chest felt hollow. Not broken. Hollow. Like someone had reached inside and scooped out everything vital and left just the shell. "Read it again," Maya said from the doorway. Lena's best friend stood there in yesterday's clothes, arms crossed, fury radiating off her like heat. "Read what that piece of shit said about you." "I don't need to." Lena's voice came out flat. Dead. "Yes, you do." Maya crouched beside her, took the phone, scrolled. Her jaw tightened. "Listen to this. Lena's fine, but she's so damn clingy. Amber gets it, no strings, no drama. No strings. Like you're some pathetic—" She stopped herself, breathing hard through her nose. "You're going to let him know exactly what you think. Right now." Lena shook her head. Speaking felt like too much effort. Existing felt like too much effort. Maya grabbed her shoulders. "Lena, look at me." When Lena finally met her eyes, Maya's expression was steel. "You don't get to disappear into yourself. You get mad. You get even. You make him feel one fraction of what you're feeling right now. What's the point? The point is, you don't let him walk away thinking he won. The point is, he needs to know, that he's not clever, that he's just another lying coward who couldn't be honest enough to end it like an adult." The hollow space in Lena's chest flickered. Not warmth, something sharper, hotter. "I wouldn't even know what to say." Maya's smile was dangerous. "Then I'll help you." 20 minutes later, Lena had a message drafted. It wasn't poetic, it wasn't dignified. It was raw and vicious, and every word tasted like blood and relief. She'd called him a coward, a liar, a pathetic excuse for a man. She'd told him exactly where he could shove his apologies. She'd stripped away 3 years of trying to be the cool girlfriend, the understanding girlfriend, the one who never made scenes. Her finger hovered over the send button. "Do it," Maya whispered. "Burn it down." Lena pressed send. The message showed delivered. She let out a shaking breath. It didn't feel good exactly, but it felt like something, like reclaiming a piece of herself from the wreckage. Maya squeezed her hand. "There. Now block him on everything. He doesn't deserve another second of your time." Lena nodded, numb again now that the adrenaline was fading. She didn't feel triumphant. She felt exhausted, wrung out, old. Her phone buzzed. Her stomach dropped. Jake was calling. Already. Probably to gaslight her, to spin some story, But the number on the screen wasn't Jake's. It was unfamiliar. Local area code, but not saved in her contacts. "Don't answer it," Maya said immediately. "It's probably him calling from someone else's phone. Let it go to voicemail." Lena stared at the number as it rang once, twice, 3 times. Then it stopped. Silence stretched between them. Rain continued its assault on the windows. Then the phone rang again, same number. "Persistent asshole," Maya muttered. Something cold twisted in Lena's gut. This didn't feel like Jake. Jake would have texted first, sent a paragraph of excuses. This felt different. Against every instinct screaming at her not to, Lena answered. "Hello?" The voice that came through was male, deep, measured. Nothing like Jake's defensive whine. "Who is this?" 3 words. That's all it took for Lena's blood to turn to ice water.
What?
Her voice came out small. You sent me a message. A pause. Not angry, curious. A very detailed message about what I am and what I should do with my apologies. I'd like to know who's cursing me out at 11:30 on a Wednesday night. Lena's mind went blank. Then it raced. She looked at Maya, whose eyes had gone wide. I think... Lena's throat closed up. I think there's been a mistake. You think? The voice held something that might have been amusement, might have been something darker. Read me the number you meant to send that message to. With shaking hands, Lena pulled up Jake's contact. She read the number aloud. You transposed 2 digits, the man said. The 4 and the 7. Oh God. Oh God. I'm so sorry. It wasn't meant for you. She couldn't finish. How do you explain that kind of message to a stranger? Angry, the man supplied. Betrayed. Someone hurt you badly enough that you wanted them to know exactly how badly. The accuracy of it stunned her into silence. Am I wrong? He asked. No, she whispered. Another pause. Lena could hear him breathing, steady, controlled, everything she wasn't. What's your name? Every survival instinct screamed at her not to answer. You don't give your name to strange men who call in the middle of the night. You don't engage. You hang up and block the number and pretend it never happened. But something in his voice, something calm and solid and strangely safe, made her answer anyway. Lena. Lena. He said it like he was testing the weight of it. I'm Adrian. I really am sorry about the message. I wasn't thinking clearly. People rarely do when they're in pain. A sound in the background, ice clinking in a glass maybe. Did he deserve what you wrote? Yes? Then don't apologize to me for his sins. Adrian's voice carried something hard underneath the calm now. But Lena, next time you decide to burn someone's world down, make sure you're burning the right world. The line went dead. Lena sat frozen, phone pressed to her ear long after the call ended. What the hell was that? Maya breathed. I sent it to the wrong number. I got that part. Who was he? Adrian. Lena's hands were shaking so badly she nearly dropped the phone. He said his name was Adrian. And what did he say? Lena told her, all of it. Maya's expression cycled through shock, concern, and then something that looked like worry. Lena, that could have gone so much worse. What if he'd been some psycho who tracked you down? He didn't sound... Lena stopped. He sounded, I don't know, in control. In control enough to be scary. Block the number, right now. Lena should have. She meant to. Her thumb hovered over the button. She didn't press it. Lana. I will, give me a second. Maya watched her for a long moment, then sighed. You're exhausted and you've had the worst night. Stay here. We'll deal with Jake's inevitable meltdown in the morning. Lena nodded, but she wasn't thinking about Jake anymore. She was thinking about a stranger's voice in the dark, about the way he'd said her name like it meant something, about the warning wrapped in his goodbye. Make sure you're burning the right world. She fell asleep on Maya's couch, fully dressed, phone clutched in her hand, rain still hammering the windows like it was trying to break through. Morning came gray and ugly. Lena woke with a headache that felt like her skull was splitting, and a message from Jake. 17 paragraphs of deflection, justification, and demands that she stop being dramatic. She deleted it without reading past the first line. Maya made coffee strong enough to strip paint and watched Lena with the careful attention of someone waiting for a breakdown. I'm fine, Lena said. You're not fine. You're in shock. There's a difference. Maybe. Lena wasn't sure she could tell anymore. Everything felt muted, distant, like she was watching her life happen to someone else. She had to go to work. The flower shop didn't run itself, and rent didn't pay itself, and the world didn't stop turning just because yours had ended. Call in sick, Maya urged. Take the day. Process. And do what? Sit here and marinate in it? Lena shook her head. I need normal. I need routine. The flower shop was everything calm and ordered. Soft classical music, the sweet green smell of stems and soil, light filtering through windows in gentle columns. Lena had worked there for 2 years. She knew every vase, every ribbon color, every customer who came in on Tuesdays for the weekly arrangement special. Today it all felt like a stage set, pretty and hollow. Mrs. Chen came in at 9 for white roses. Mr. Vega came in at 10:30 for his daughter's birthday bouquet. A nervous kid came in at 11 asking what Flowers said, "I'm sorry," and Lena bit back the urge to tell him that Flowers didn't fix anything. She made it until noon before her hands started shaking. It came out of nowhere. 1 second she was trimming stems, the next the shears were rattling against the metal table and she couldn't make it stop. She gripped the edge of the counter, breathing carefully through her nose, willing her body to cooperate. The door chimed. Lena looked up reflexively, customer service smile already forming, and felt it die on her face. The woman who entered was tall and sharp in every possible way. Sharp cheekbones, sharp black suit, sharp eyes that swept the shop in a single assessing glance. She moved like a knife cutting through water, smooth, efficient, dangerous. "We're closing for lunch," Lena managed. They weren't. It was a lie, and they both knew it. "I'm not here for Flowers." The woman's voice matched the rest of her, precise, clipped, no warmth. "Lena Cross?" Ice flooded Lena's veins. "Who's asking?" "My name is Nix Calder. I work for Adrian Voss. He'd like to speak with you." The world tilted. Lena gripped the counter harder. We talked. Last night. It was a mistake. I apologized." "He knows." Nix didn't move closer, but her presence filled the room anyway. "He still wants to speak with you." "Why?" "He didn't share that information with me. My job is to bring you to him. Your job is to decide if you're coming willingly or if I need to be more persuasive." Lena's heart hammered against her ribs. This was insane. This was something that happened in movies, not real life. You didn't get summoned by strangers. You didn't get collected by women who looked like they knew 15 ways to kill you with their bare hands. "And if I say no?" Nix tilted her head slightly. "Then I wait. Adrian is patient, but everyone has limits, and testing his is inadvisable." "Is that a threat?" "It's a fact." Nix checked her watch. Elegant, expensive, probably cost more than Lena made in 3 months. "You have 30 seconds to decide. After that, I make the decision for you." Lena's mind raced. Call the police and say what? A woman asked me politely to come with her? Run. Where? Out the back? Down the street? And then what? Maya had been right. This could go so much worse. "If I come with you, where are we going?" "Somewhere private, somewhere you can talk without interruption." "That's not an answer." 20 seconds. Lena weighed her options. They all felt wrong, but refusing felt more dangerous than agreeing. At least if she went willingly, she maintained some illusion of control. "Fine." The word tasted like surrender. "Let me lock up." "You have 10 minutes. Lena's hands shook as she flipped the sign to closed and grabbed her bag. She texted Maya with trembling fingers. Something came up. "Don't worry. We'll explain later." She almost added more, almost wrote, "If I don't text back in 2 hours, call the police." But that felt too real. Too much like admitting she was walking into something she might not walk out of. She hit send and followed Nix outside. The car was black and sleek, and probably cost more than Lena's entire life. Nix opened the back door. Lena hesitated at the threshold. This was it, last chance to run screaming, then climbed in. The door closed with a heavy, final sound. The interior smelled like leather and something else, something expensive and masculine. Nix slid into the driver's seat. The privacy screen was up, no conversation, just the quiet hum of the engine and the city sliding past tinted windows. Lena tried to track the route, but gave up after the 4th turn. She didn't know the city well enough, didn't know where they were going or how to get back. 20 minutes later, the car stopped. They weren't at some warehouse or abandoned building. They were at a restaurant, upscale, the kind of place with a single name and elegant script across the door. The kind of place Lena had never been able to afford. "Out," Nick said. The restaurant was empty, completely empty. Tables set with white linens and crystal glasses, candles already lit, soft music playing, but no staff, no customers. Just one man sitting at a table near the back, silhouetted against the window. Adrian Voss. Lena knew it was him before she saw his face. She recognized something in the way he sat, utterly still, utterly controlled, like a predator conserving energy. Nix gestured toward the table. Go. Lena's legs moved on autopilot. Each step felt surreal, dreamlike, wrong. As she got closer, Adrian came into focus. Mid-30s, maybe. Dark hair, strong jaw, eyes that tracked her approach with unwavering attention. He wore a suit that probably cost more than her car, charcoal gray, perfectly tailored, no tie. He looked like money and power and danger all wrapped in civilized packaging. He stood as she reached the table. Old-fashioned manners from a man who'd ordered her kidnapping. The contradiction made her head spin. Lena! His voice was exactly as she remembered from the phone. Deep, measured, impossible to read. Thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? A flicker of something crossed his face. Yes. You always have a choice. The question is whether you're willing to accept the consequences of the choices you make. He gestured to the chair across from him. Sit, please. Lena sat. Her hands were shaking again, so she folded them in her lap, out of sight. Adrian sat across from her, studying her face with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Not sexual. Something else. Something clinical. Like he was cataloging every detail, filing it away for later use. You're afraid, he observed. Wouldn't you be? Probably. Fear is rational when you don't understand the situation. Then explain the situation. He smiled. Small, brief, genuine. Direct. I like that. He leaned back slightly. Last night you sent me a message meant for someone else. Someone who hurt you badly enough that you wanted to hurt him back. I apologized for that. You did, but I'm curious about something. He picked up his glass, scotch maybe, amber liquid over ice, and took a slow drink. The man you meant to destroy with your words. Did it help? Sending that message? Lena swallowed hard. I don't know. Maybe. For a minute. And now? Now I'm sitting in an empty restaurant across from a stranger who tracked me down because of a texting error. So, no. It didn't help. Adrian's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes shifted. Softened, maybe. Or maybe she was seeing things that weren't there because she desperately needed this to make sense. I didn't bring you here to punish you, Lena. You're not in danger. I brought you here because I wanted to meet the woman brave enough, or reckless enough, to pour that much pain into words and send them into the void. That's not bravery. That's just being broken. There's a difference. The question hit her like a slap. She stared at him, at this stranger who somehow kept landing blows she wasn't prepared for. Why do you care? Her voice came out harder than she intended. You don't know me. I made a mistake. I said I was sorry. What else do you want? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice carried something she couldn't identify. Do you know what I do, Lena? No. I solve problems. Problems that can't be solved through legal channels. Problems that require discretion. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Lena's mouth went dry. You're a criminal. I'm a businessman who operates in gray areas. His eyes never left hers. And in my line of work, you learn to read people very quickly. You learn to spot lies, spot weakness, spot danger. You have to. Your life depends on it. What does that have to do with me? When I answered your call last night, I heard something I don't hear often. He leaned forward slightly. Truth. Raw, unfiltered, painful truth. You weren't trying to manipulate. You weren't trying to gain anything. You were just bleeding all over a stranger and hoping it would stop hurting. Lena felt something crack inside her chest. She looked away, blinking hard. Most people lie, Adrian continued quietly. Most people put on masks and play games and pretend they're fine when they're falling apart. You didn't. You couldn't. And I found that... He paused, searching for the word. Interesting. So you had me dragged here because you found my breakdown interesting. Lena forced herself to meet his eyes again. That's sick. Perhaps. He didn't deny it. But here we are anyway. What do you want from me? Nothing. The answer came immediately, firmly. I want nothing from you, Lena. You're free to leave. Nix will drive you anywhere you want to go. Your life will continue exactly as it was before you sent that message. Relief flooded through her so fast it made her dizzy. Really? Really. Adrian finished his drink and set the glass down with a soft click. But I want to give you something before you go.
What?
He reached into his jacket. Lena flinched involuntarily and pulled out a business card. Plain white, no company name, just a phone number embossed in black. If you ever need help, he said, sliding the card across the table, call this number. Lena stared at it like it might bite.
Help with what?
Anything. Everything. Nothing. His mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Consider it an apology for frightening you, and perhaps insurance. Insurance against what? The man who hurt you. He knows you know about his lies now. Men like that, weak men, cowardly men, they don't handle exposure well. If he becomes a problem, if he shows up at your door demanding explanations or making threats, you call that number. And what? You'll send someone to beat him up? Lena pushed the card back toward him. I don't need that kind of help. Keep it anyway. Adrian didn't touch the card, didn't push it back, just left it there between them. You don't have to use it, but you'll sleep better knowing you could. Lena looked at the card, then at Adrian, then at the empty restaurant around them. This whole thing felt surreal, impossible, like she'd stepped through a mirror into some other version of reality where wrong numbers led to private meetings with men who solved problems through violence. I should go, she said quietly. You should. Adrian stood, buttoning his jacket with practiced ease. Nix will take you home, or to your friend's place, wherever you feel safest. Lena stood too, legs unsteady. She left the card on the table and turned toward the door. Lena, she stopped, didn't turn around. For what it's worth, Adrian said behind her, he didn't deserve you. And you deserve better than spending your pain on someone who won't understand its value. The words hit her like a punch to the sternum. She didn't respond, couldn't, just walked toward where Nix waited by the entrance, vision blurring at the edges. The ride back passed in silence. Lena gave Maya's address. She couldn't face her own apartment yet, couldn't face the space she'd shared with Jake's ghost. When the car stopped, Nick spoke for the first time since the restaurant. The number on that card. It's not a threat. It's not a trap. It's exactly what he said it was. Lena looked at her in the rearview mirror. And what is he? Dangerous. Nix's expression was unreadable. But not to you. Not unless you make yourself his enemy. I don't want anything to do with this world. Then don't use the number. Nix's eyes were cold and clear. But don't throw it away either. You never know when you might need a dangerous man on your side. Lena got out without responding and watched the car disappear into traffic. Maya opened the door before Lena could knock. Where the hell have you been? You said something came up and then went radio silent for 2 hours. I was about to... She stopped, taking in Lena's face. What happened? Lena told her everything. The woman at the shop, the car, the restaurant, Adrian, the card she'd left behind. Maya listened with growing horror. That's insane. That's Lena. That's stalking. That's intimidation. You need to call the police. And tell them what? A man invited me to lunch and gave me his phone number? A man who had you followed and collected. He let me go. He said I wasn't in danger. And you believe him? Maya's voice climbed an octave. You believe the word of some criminal who operates in gray areas? Lena, listen to yourself. I know how it sounds. Do you? Because it sounds like you're defending the man who terrified you. He didn't terrify me. The words came out before Lena could stop them. I don't know what he did, but it wasn't that. Maya stared at her. You need to sleep. You need to eat. You need to process the fact that your boyfriend of 3 years cheated on you. You don't need to add some mystery criminal to the list of things destroying your life. She was right. Lena knew she was right. So why did she keep thinking about Adrian's eyes? About the way he'd listened like her pain actually mattered? About the quiet certainty in his voice when he said she deserved better? That night, alone in Maya's spare room, Lena couldn't stop herself. She pulled out her phone and typed the number from the card into a new message. She didn't save it, didn't send anything, just sat there staring at it, thumb hovering over the delete button. She didn't press it. 3 days passed, then 5, then a week. Life continued its ugly forward momentum. Lena went to work, smiled at customers, arranged flowers, came home, avoided her own apartment, avoided Jake's increasingly frantic messages. On day 8, she caved and looked at one. Big mistake. We need to talk. You can't just ignore this. I made a mistake, but so did you. You invaded my privacy. You went through my phone like some psycho girlfriend. Maybe if you'd trusted me more, I wouldn't have needed someone else. Lena read it 3 times, feeling something dark and hot build in her chest. The audacity. The sheer fucking audacity. Her phone buzzed with a new message before she could formulate a response. Unknown number. How are you holding up? Her heart stopped. She knew that number. She'd stared at it for 40 minutes 8 days ago before deciding not to save it, not to delete it, not to acknowledge it existed. She should ignore it, block it, move on with her life. Her fingers typed before her brain caught up. Who is this? 3 dots appeared immediately. You know who this is. Lena's breath came faster. She was in Maya's apartment, alone. Maya was working late. No one to talk sense into her. No one to grab the phone and delete the conversation. How did you get my number? You called me. Remember? I saved it. That was a wrong number. And yet, here we are, texting on purpose. Lena stared at the screen. He was right. She could have ignored the message. Should have. Instead, she'd engaged. I asked how you were holding up, Adrian's next message read. That wasn't rhetorical. Why do you care? Because I'm curious. Because you interested me. Because everyone deserves at least one person who asks and actually wants to know the answer. Lena's eyes burned. She blinked hard. I'm fine. That's a lie. You don't know me well enough to know when I'm lying. I know that fine is what people say when they're anything but. I know that you haven't confronted him yet because you're avoiding it. I know that you're probably staying with your friend because your own space feels contaminated by his presence. Lena's hand started shaking. Stop. Stop what? Stop reading me like I'm transparent. Stop acting like you know me. You don't. A longer pause this time. Then, you're right, I don't. But I'd like to. Why? Because I find honest people rare and valuable and worth protecting. I don't need protection. Everyone needs protection. The question is whether they're smart enough to accept it when it's offered. Lena should end this, block the number, tell Maya, get her head straight. Instead, she typed, what do you want from me? Nothing. Everyone wants something. Then maybe I want to see if someone as determined to self-destruct as you were that night can find a reason not to. The words hit like a slap. Lena felt tears spill over, hot and shameful. I have to go. All right. But Lena? What? I meant what I said at the restaurant. You deserve better than what he gave you. Don't let his weakness make you doubt your worth. The phone went quiet. Lena waited for another message, but none came. She cried for 20 minutes straight. Then she washed her face, deleted the conversation, and went to bed. But she didn't block the number. Woke. The messages became routine, not daily. Adrian wasn't overbearing, but every few days a text would come through. Simple. Checking in. How's work? Did you eat today? The rain's back. You safe? Lena told herself she was humoring him because it was easier than fighting. Told herself it meant nothing. Told herself she'd stop replying any day now. She kept replying. And Adrian remembered everything. When she mentioned in passing that Tuesdays were her busiest days, he never texted on Tuesdays. When she mentioned she loved old movies, he asked which ones. When she mentioned she'd skipped lunch, his next message was a list of nearby restaurants with delivery. It should have been creepy, obsessive, wrong. Instead, it felt like someone actually listening, actually paying attention, actually giving a damn. 3 weeks after the restaurant, Lena finally worked up the nerve to ask the question that had been eating at her. What do you actually do? Like specifically. The response took longer than usual. She pictured Adrian sitting somewhere expensive and dangerous, deciding how much truth to share. I told you, I solve problems. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I can give you right now. Why? Because the details would frighten you, and I don't want to do that. Lena chewed her lip. She should drop it. Leave it alone. Try me. Another long pause. I acquire things for people who can't acquire them through legal means. I protect people who can't get protection from the police. I remove obstacles that can't be removed through traditional channels. Lena read it twice. 3 times. You're a criminal. I'm a pragmatist. That's just a fancy word for criminal. Perhaps. Does it change things? Knowing what I am?
Did it?
Lena sat with the question. She should be horrified, should block him, report him maybe. To who? For what? Texting her? But when she was honest with herself, truly honest, it didn't change anything, because Adrian had been nothing but careful with her, nothing but respectful, nothing but genuinely interested in whether she was okay. I don't know, she typed finally. Should it? That depends on what you want from this. What do you want from this? The truth? Always. I want to keep talking to you. I want to know if you confronted him. I want to know if you're sleeping better. I want to know if the hollow feeling in your chest has started to fill in yet. Lena's breath caught. How did he know? How could he possibly know what it felt like? It hasn't, she admitted. It will, eventually. You sound certain. I've been hollow before. I know how long it takes to feel solid again. For the first time, Lena wondered about Adrian's story, about what had hollowed him out and whether it ever truly healed. What happened to you? That's a conversation for another time, when you're ready to hear it. And when will that be? When you stop looking at me like I'm a threat and start looking at me like I'm a person. Lena stared at the message. She'd never looked at him at all. They'd met once, briefly, in a restaurant where she'd been too scared to do anything but survive. I barely know what you look like. Would it help if you did? Her heart started hammering. Are you asking to meet again? Only if you want to. No nicks this time. No empty restaurants. Just you and me and coffee, if you can stomach it. Every rational part of Lena's brain screamed no. This was insane. He was dangerous. She knew nothing about him except that he operated outside the law and had the resources to track her down. But the hollow space in her chest ached, and Adrian's messages were the only thing in 3 weeks that had made it ache a little less. Where? She typed before she could stop herself. There's a place on 5th, Mercer's, tomorrow at 2, if you're free. I work until 3. 4 then. Lena swallowed hard. This was a mistake. A huge, dangerous, potentially life-ruining mistake. Okay. I'll be there. Lena? Yeah? Don't be afraid, I promise. You're safe with me. She wanted to believe him. Desperately, stupidly, she wanted to believe that the man who'd had her collected like a package, who solved problems through violence, who lived in a world of shadows and gray morality, that somehow, impossibly, she was safe with him. The scariest part was that she did believe it. She told Maya she had a dentist appointment. The lie tasted like ash, but Maya was already worried enough. Telling her about Adrian would just trigger an intervention. Mercer's was small and warm, tucked between a bookstore and a vintage shop. Nothing intimidating, nothing dangerous. Lena arrived 10 minutes early and immediately regretted it. Sitting alone at a corner table, hands wrapped around a coffee she couldn't taste, she had too much time to think, to second guess, to imagine walking out before he arrived and blocking his number and pretending this whole surreal chapter had never happened. Then the door opened and Adrian walked in. He looked different in daylight, less intimidating somehow. He wore jeans and a dark sweater, no suit, no armor. His hair was slightly messy, like he'd been running his hands through it. He scanned the room, found her, and his whole face changed. Not a smile exactly. Something softer, relief maybe. He crossed to her table and sat down without asking permission. You came. You sound surprised. I wasn't sure you would. Wasn't sure you should. Then why ask? Because I wanted to see you again. Simple, direct, devastating. Lena looked down at her coffee. This is crazy. Probably. You're a criminal. Yes. I should leave, right now. You should. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. But you won't. Why not? Because you're as curious about me as I am about you. Because going back to your normal life feels impossible right now. Because I'm the first person in a month who hasn't lied to you or let you down. His eyes held hers. Am I wrong? He wasn't. Lena hated that he wasn't. What do you want from me? She asked again. The truth? I don't know yet. Adrian signaled the waitress, a tired-looking woman in her 50s who clearly knew him because she just nodded and brought him black coffee without asking. I just know that talking to you feels different, better, real. Real, Lena echoed. You don't do real in your line of work? Almost never. People lie to me because they want something. They lie to me because they're afraid. They lie because telling me the truth means admitting how desperate they are. He took a slow drink. You didn't. You just bled honesty all over me and didn't apologize for it. I did apologize. For sending it to the wrong number, not for feeling it. Lena felt something shift in her chest. This man, this dangerous, impossible man, saw her. Actually saw her. Not the version she performed for customers or friends or boyfriends. The raw, messy, honest version underneath. I confronted him, she said quietly. Jake, 2 days ago. Adrian's expression sharpened. And he tried to make it my fault. Said I was paranoid and controlling, said he wouldn't have needed someone else if I'd been less clingy. She laughed, bitter. 3 years and he couldn't even give me the dignity of a real apology. Where is he now? Something in Adrian's voice made Lena look up fast. His face was calm, but his eyes had gone cold, predatory. I don't know. I blocked him on everything. Good. The word came out hard. Adrian, if he contacts you again, if he shows up at your apartment or your work, if he becomes a problem. Adrian leaned forward. You tell me immediately. I don't need you to fight my battles. I know you don't, but I'm offering anyway. Lena should shut this down, should establish boundaries, should make it clear that she wasn't some damsel who needed saving. Instead, she heard herself say, okay. They talked for 2 hours. About nothing. About everything. About movies and music and the city, and whether people were fundamentally good or just pretending. Adrian was funny, dry, and sharp, and surprisingly warm once the walls came down a little. Lena found herself laughing, actually laughing, for the first time in weeks. When they finally left, the sun was starting to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Can I drive you home? Adrian asked. I can take the bus. I know you can. That's not what I asked. Lena looked at him, really looked, at the way he stood just close enough to feel protective but far enough to give her space, at the way he watched her like she mattered, at the danger wrapped in care. Okay, she said. The car was different this time, smaller, normal. Adrian drove himself, no nicks in sight. He didn't ask for her address, he already knew it. Should have bothered her, didn't. They pulled up outside her building as full dark settled over the city. Thank you, Lena said, for the coffee, for listening, she stopped, not sure how to finish. For being honest? Adrian offered. Yeah, that. He smiled. We should do this again. We should? Unless you'd rather not. Lena knew what the smart answer was. Knew what Maya would say. Knew what every rational part of her brain was screaming. I'd like that, she said instead. Adrian's smile widened. Just a fraction, just enough. Good. I'll text you. Lena got out and watched him drive away. Then she climbed the stairs to her apartment, unlocked the door, and stood in the space that used to be home. It felt different now. Less haunted. Less hollow. Her phone buzzed. Sleep well, Lena. You're safe. I promise. She saved the number this time, listed under just his name, Adrian. Then she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering what the hell she was doing and why it felt less like falling and more like... Her apartment door rattled. Lena froze. The sound came again. Someone trying the handle, testing it. Then a voice, slurred, angry, familiar. Lena, I know you're in there. Open the fucking door. We need to talk. Jake. Lena's heart hammered. She'd changed the locks. He shouldn't have her new key. But he was here anyway, rattling the handle hard enough that the frame shook. Lena, stop being childish. Open the door. Her hand found her phone, shaking, fumbling. She pulled up Adrian's number and typed 3 words. He's here. Help. The message showed delivered. Read. Then her phone rang. Where are you? Adrian's voice was calm. Too calm. My apartment. He's outside the door. I changed the locks, but Lock yourself in the bedroom. Now. Don't open the door for anyone but me. Adrian, Do it, Lena. I'm already on my way. The line went dead. Lena's bedroom door felt flimsy. Too flimsy. Like Jake could kick it down if he wanted to badly enough. She pressed her back against it anyway, phone clutched in both hands, listening to him pound on the front door hard enough to rattle the hinges. I'm not leaving until we talk. His voice cracked on the last word. Rage or tears. She couldn't tell. Didn't care. You owe me that much. She owed him nothing. Less than nothing. But telling him that through a locked door would only make it worse. Her phone showed 11:47 p.m. How long would it take Adrian to get here? 5 minutes? 10? What if Jake broke through first? What if the neighbors called the police and she had to explain why she'd called a criminal instead of 911? The pounding stopped. Silence pressed against her eardrums, worse than the noise. Lena held her breath, straining to hear movement in the hallway. Then Jake's voice came again, closer now, right outside her bedroom door. I know you're in there. I can see the light under the door. Ice flooded her veins. He'd gotten in. Somehow he'd gotten inside her apartment. Jake, leave, right now. I'll call the police. With what? Your phone? He laughed, wet, ugly. You think I'm stupid? You think I don't know you won't call them? You never want to make a scene. You hate confrontation. That's always been your problem, Lena. You just take it and never fight back. Her hands shook so badly she nearly dropped the phone. He was right. She did hate confrontation, had spent 3 years smoothing over arguments, swallowing complaints, making herself smaller so he could feel bigger. Not anymore. I changed the locks, she said, voice steadier than she felt. How did you get in? Fire escape. You left the window unlocked. Sloppy. Another laugh. We need to talk, Lena, face to face, like adults. Adults don't break into their ex-girlfriend's apartment at midnight. Ex? The word came out sharp, dangerous. We're not done. You don't get to decide that unilaterally. Relationships are a partnership. You don't just throw away 3 years because I made one mistake. One mistake. Like the 3 months with Amber had been a typo. Like the lies had been autocorrect errors. Get out of my apartment or I'm calling the police. No, you're not. Jake's voice dropped lower, softer, more terrifying than the yelling. You're going to open this door and we're going to talk. We're going to figure this out. We're going to... The front door burst open. Not kicked, not forced. It opened with a key. Smooth, practiced. Like whoever was entering owned the place. Jake went silent. Footsteps crossed the living room, steady, unhurried. Then a voice Lena recognized cut through the apartment like a blade. Step away from the door. Adrian. Who the fuck are you? Jake's bravado cracked around the edges. This is between me and my girlfriend. Get out before I... Before you what? Adrian's voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. The threat lived in his calm. Before you assault me the way you were planning to assault her? Before you break my door down the way you broke hers? I didn't break anything. The fire escape was breaking and entering, trespassing, stalking. Should I continue or would you like to leave before this gets worse for you? Silence. Then Jake's voice, smaller now. Lena, are you really hiding behind some stranger instead of talking to me? Lena wanted to stay hidden, wanted to let Adrian handle it, wanted to be anywhere but here. But Jake was right about one thing. She was done being small. She unlocked the bedroom door and opened it. Jake stood in her hallway, backlit by the living room lamp. He looked terrible, unshaven, red-eyed, sweating despite the cool night. For 3 years she'd thought he was handsome. Now she just saw weakness, entitlement, a man who'd never learned to handle rejection. Behind him, Adrian filled the doorway to the living room. He looked exactly as calm as he'd sounded, hands loose at his sides, posture relaxed, but something in his stillness promised violence if needed. Leave, Lena said. Now. Jake's face twisted. You called him? Instead of talking to me, you called some... He looked Adrian up and down. Some thug to intimidate me? I called someone who actually respects boundaries, something you never learned. 3 years, Lena. 3 fucking years and this is how you treat me? Over one mistake? You don't get to call it a mistake when you did it for 3 months. You don't get to break into my apartment and act like you're the victim. Her voice rose despite herself. You don't get to gaslight me into thinking I'm the problem when you're the one who lied every single day. Jake took a step toward her. Adrian moved faster. Suddenly between them, one hand raised in a stopping gesture that looked casual, but wasn't. "Don't," Adrian said quietly. "This is none of your business." She made it my business when she asked for help. Now you have two choices. Walk out that door on your own feet, or I carry you out. Your decision. You have 5 seconds. You threatening me? Jake's hands curled into fists. You think I'm scared of... Adrian moved. Lena didn't see exactly what happened. It was too fast, too practiced. 1 second, Jake was puffing up for a fight. The next, he was face first against the hallway wall with Adrian's hand on the back of his neck, arm twisted at an angle that looked painful. 4 seconds, Adrian said conversationally. 3, 2. Okay, Jesus, let me go. Adrian released him and stepped back. Jake stumbled, caught himself, turned with murder in his eyes, then saw something in Adrian's expression that made him reconsider. This isn't over, Jake spat, looking past Adrian to Lena. You think you can just replace me? You think this asshole is going to treat you better? I think anything is better than you, Lena said. The words felt clean, sharp, true. Jake's face went red. Fuck you, Lena. Fuck you and your self-righteous bullshit. You weren't that great anyway. Amber was better in every way that matters. The words were meant to wound. They bounced off. Lena felt nothing but relief that she'd never have to hear his voice again. Adrian's hand landed on Jake's shoulder, gentle, almost friendly. Time to go. He steered Jake toward the door like a parent removing a tantruming child. Jake tried to shake him off once, and Adrian's grip tightened enough to make him gasp. At the door, Adrian stopped. If you contact her again, calls, texts, showing up at her work, anything, you'll answer to me, and I promise you don't want that. Are we clear? Jake didn't answer. Adrian's hand tightened. I said, are we clear? Yeah, clear, whatever. Adrian shoved him into the hallway and closed the door. Locked it, tested the handle, then stood there for a long moment, head bowed, breathing carefully through his nose like he was talking himself down from something. Lena's legs gave out. She sank to the floor right there in the hallway, back against the wall, shaking so badly her teeth chattered. Adrian turned and saw her. Something in his expression cracked, the control slipping just enough to show fury underneath. Not at her, at Jake, at the situation, at whatever had made this necessary. He crossed to her and crouched down, not touching, just close enough to be steady. Are you hurt? Lena shook her head, couldn't speak yet. Did he touch you before I got here? Another head shake. Adrian's jaw worked. How did he get in? Fire escape. The words came out scratchy. I forgot to lock the window. Show me. She led him to her bedroom on legs that felt like water. The window was still open, curtain moving in the night breeze. Adrian leaned out, studying the fire escape, the alley below, the building across the way. Then he closed and locked the window, tested it twice, and drew the curtain. I'll have someone install better locks tomorrow. Window guards. A security system. You don't have to... Yes, I do. He turned to face her. He got in once. He'll try again. Men like him always do. They can't accept that they lost control. Lena wrapped her arms around herself. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving her hollow and shaky. How did you get here so fast? I was already in the neighborhood. Why? Adrian was quiet for a moment. Because I had a feeling, and I've learned to trust those. A feeling that Jake would show up? A feeling that someone who hurts you once will try again if given the opportunity. He moved closer, slowly, telegraphing every motion. I should have been here sooner, before he got inside. You were here before anything happened. That's what matters. Is it? Adrian's voice was rough. Because from where I'm standing, you spent 10 minutes terrified in your own home. That's not nothing, Lena. She looked at him, really looked, at the tension in his shoulders, the white-knuckle grip he had on his control, the way he was looking at her like she was something precious that he'd failed to protect. I'm okay, she said softly. Really, you got here in time. This time. Adrian, he could have hurt you, really hurt you. If I'd been 5 minutes later, he stopped, jaw clenching. But you weren't. You were here. You kept me safe. Adrian looked away, out the window at the city lights. You shouldn't need keeping safe. You should be able to exist in your own space without calling in backup. Welcome to being a woman, Lena said, bitter. We always need backup. That got his attention. He turned back to her, something raw in his expression. Then let me be yours. Officially. No more casual check-ins. No more pretending this is just friendly conversation. Let me make sure you're protected. Lena's heart hammered. What are you asking? I'm asking to be part of your life, really part of it. I'm asking you to trust me with your safety the way you trusted me tonight when you sent that text. That's not, Adrian, we barely know each other. Don't we? He stepped closer, still not touching, but close enough that she could feel the heat of him. I know you take your coffee black. I know you hate Tuesdays because they're busy. I know you cry when you're angry instead of when you're sad. I know you've been sleeping on your friend's couch because this apartment feels haunted. I know you deserve better than what you've been given. His voice dropped lower. What don't I know, Lena? Tell me and I'll learn it. She should say no, should establish distance, should remind him that knowing someone's coffee order wasn't the same as knowing them. But Jake had just proven that 3 years together meant nothing if the person wasn't paying attention, and Adrian had learned more about her in 3 weeks than Jake had in 3 years. What does protection look like? She asked carefully. In your world. It looks like better locks, security cameras, someone checking in daily, someone who knows where you are and whether you're safe, someone who eliminates threats before they become problems. Eliminates. The word hung heavy between them. I'm not asking you to know the details. I'm asking you to let me handle things so you don't have to live afraid. And what do you get out of this arrangement? Peace of mind, Adrian said simply. The knowledge that you're safe. That's enough. That's not enough. Not for what you're offering. Nobody gives that much for free. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Then maybe I'm not nobody. Adrian, fine. You want the truth? He ran a hand through his hair, messing it further. I sleep better knowing you're okay. I work better. I think clearer. He stopped, searching for words. You're something good in a life that doesn't have much good in it. And I'm selfish enough to want to keep you safe so you can keep existing in my orbit. The honesty of it stole her breath. I don't know how to do this, she whispered. I don't know how to be with someone who solves problems the way you do. I don't know the rules. There's only one rule. You're honest with me and I'm honest with you. Everything else we figure out as we go. Lena studied his face. The hard lines, the careful control, the vulnerability he was trying to hide. This was insane, reckless, probably the worst decision she could make. Okay, she said. Adrian blinked. Okay? Okay, you can protect me. Okay, we figure this out. Okay, I trust you even though every rational part of my brain is screaming at me not to. Something bright and fierce crossed Adrian's expression. Relief, joy, possession. Then his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his whole demeanor shifted. Back to business, back to controlled. I need to take this. Okay. He stepped into the living room. Lena stayed in the bedroom doorway, watching him pace, listening to half a conversation she couldn't quite parse. Where? How many? No, keep him contained until I get there. 20 minutes. He hung up and turned back to her. The softness from moments ago was gone, replaced by something sharp and dangerous. I have to go. Work. At midnight? My work doesn't keep business hours. He crossed back to her. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone. I'll have someone here within the hour to install new locks and a security system. Tonight? Tonight. I'm not leaving you vulnerable. He pulled out his phone and typed something quickly. Nix will be here in 45 minutes. Let her in. She'll handle everything. Adrian, I can't just... Yes, you can. You already said okay. This is what okay looks like. His expression softened slightly. Trust me, Lena. Please. She wanted to argue, wanted to insist she could handle her own security, wanted to maintain some illusion of independence. But Jake had broken into her apartment and she'd called Adrian for help. That ship had sailed. Okay, she said again. Adrian cupped her face, gentle, careful, like she might break. Get some sleep. You're safe now. I promise. Then he was gone, footsteps quick on the stairs, and Lena was alone in her apartment that didn't feel like hers anymore. 43 minutes later, someone knocked. Lena checked the peephole and saw Nick standing in the hallway with two men in dark clothes carrying toolboxes. She opened the door. Nick swept in without greeting, assessing the space with quick, efficient glances. "Show me where he got in." Lena led her to the bedroom window. Nix examined it, tested the locks, leaned out to study the fire escape. "This gets bars," she said to one of the men. "Reinforced. I want them installed before we leave." "It's 1 a.m, Lena said weakly. "The noise, my neighbors, will be less annoyed by noise than by attending your funeral." Nix turned to her. "Adrian said you agreed to protection. That means you don't get to argue about implementation. Understood?" Lena bristled. "I'm not arguing, you're in shock, you're processing, and you're about to crash hard from the adrenaline." Nix's expression didn't soften, but her voice did, slightly. "Sit down, let us work. In 2 hours you'll have a secure apartment, and you can sleep without jumping at every sound." She was right. Lena could feel the crash coming, exhaustion pulling at her like a riptide. She sat on the couch and watched 3 strangers transform her apartment into a fortress. New locks on the front door, heavy, complex, pick-resistant, window guards on every window, motion sensors in the hallway, cameras covering the entrance, the fire escape, the street view. "This is excessive," Lena said around 2 a.m., watching one of the men install what looked like a panic button by her bed. "This is baseline," Nix corrected. "Excessive would be armed guards in the hallway. Please tell me that's a joke." "It's not, but Adrian decided it would make you uncomfortable." Nix tested the panic button. A quiet beep sounded. "Press this if you're in danger. Response time will be under 3 minutes." "Response from who?" "People who work for Adrian. People who are very good at their jobs." Nix met her eyes. "You're under his protection now. That means something in this city. It means people will think twice before touching you. And if they don't think twice, then they don't think again." Nix said it like she was commenting on the weather. By 3 a.m., the apartment looked the same, but felt completely different. Secure. Protected. Like a safe house instead of a home. The men packed up their tools and left without speaking. Nix did a final walkthrough, testing every lock, every sensor, every camera. "Adrian will have access to the camera feeds," she said. "If that makes you uncomfortable, tell him, but I'd advise against it." "Why?" "Because he's going to watch them anyway. This way you know about it." Lena should be horrified, should feel violated, should rage about privacy and autonomy and boundaries. Instead, she just felt tired. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for coming, for doing this." Nix's expression flickered with something that might have been surprise. "I work for Adrian. He said keep you safe. I keep you safe." "Still, thank you." Nix studied her for a long moment. "He doesn't do this. Bring people into his world. Offer protection. Care whether someone's okay." She moved toward the door. "Whatever you are to him, don't waste it, and don't hurt him. The first he'd forgive, the second he wouldn't." Then she was gone, and Lena was alone with her fortified walls and her racing thoughts, and the crushing realization that she'd just accepted protection from a criminal and didn't regret it. She checked her phone. One message from Adrian. "Nix finished?" "Yes." "It's like Fort Knox in here." "Good. Sleep. I'll check in tomorrow." "Are you okay? Where did you have to go?" "Work emergency. Handled now. Nothing for you to worry about." Lena stared at those words. Nothing for her to worry about. Like his world and hers could stay separate. Like she could take his protection without seeing what that protection cost. She wanted to push, to ask questions, to know what work emergency meant at midnight. Instead, she typed, "Good night, Adrian, and thank you." "Anytime, Lena. I mean that." She believed him. Yukos. Morning came too fast and too bright. Lena called in sick to work, first time in 2 years. Her boss didn't question it. Probably heard the exhaustion in her voice. She spent the day cataloging her new reality, the locks that required actual keys instead of the flimsy chain she'd relied on before, the cameras with their tiny red lights, the panic button by her bed that promised rescue in under 3 minutes. Maya called at noon. "Where have you been? I've been texting you since yesterday." "Sorry." Things got complicated. Complicated how? Lena told her about Jake, the break-in, Adrian showing up, The security installation. Silence stretched over the line. Then, I'm coming over. Maya, you don't have to, I'm already on my way. She arrived 20 minutes later, took one look at the new locks, and her expression went dark. This is insane, Lena. You let some criminal turn your apartment into a panic room because your ex got drunk and stupid? He broke in through the fire escape while I was home alone. So you call the police, you file a restraining order, you don't call the mob. Maya paced the living room. Do you even know what you've done? You've put yourself under his control. You're in his debt now. That's how people like him operate. They do you favors until you owe them, and then they collect, and the price is never what you think it'll be. Adrian's not like that. You've known him 3 weeks. And Jake was with me 3 years. Time doesn't equal understanding. Lena heard her voice rising, forced it down. Adrian's been nothing but honest with me. He's never lied, never promised things he couldn't deliver, never made me feel small or stupid or wrong. No, he just made you feel protected, which is worse, because now you need him. Maya stopped pacing, faced her. Don't you see? He's isolated you from normal solutions, made himself the answer to every problem. That's textbook manipulation. Or maybe I asked for help and he gave it. No strings, no expectations. There are always strings, Lena, always. Maya's voice cracked. I'm scared for you. I'm scared you're in so deep you can't see how deep you are. Lena wanted to argue, wanted to prove Maya wrong, but part of her, a small, quiet part, wondered if Maya was right. I can handle myself, she said finally. Can you? Because from where I'm standing, you can't even sleep in your own apartment without his permission. That's not fair, isn't it? Maya grabbed her bag. When you're ready to admit this is dangerous, call me. Until then, I can't watch you self-destruct. She left. The door closed behind her with a finality that made Lena's chest ache. She stood in her empty apartment, surrounded by protection that suddenly felt like a cage, and wondered if Maya was right. Her phone buzzed. Adrian, how are you feeling? She stared at the message. Honest, that was the rule. Be honest, confused. Maya thinks I made a mistake. What do you think? I think I'm in over my head, but I don't know if that's bad or just scary. Scary and bad aren't the same thing. One makes you grow. One makes you smaller. Which is this? You tell me. Do you feel smaller right now, or do you feel like you finally have room to breathe? Lena closed her eyes. Breathed. The apartment was quiet, secure. Hers in a way it hadn't been when Jake still had keys, still had access, still had power over her peace. I feel safer, she admitted. Then trust that. Trust yourself. Maya loves you. She's scared for you. That's what good friends do. But she doesn't get to decide what you need. And you do? No. Only you do. I'm just offering options you didn't have before. She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that this was protection and not control, that Adrian was different from every other man who'd promised to keep her safe and then use that promise as leverage. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello? Lena Cross? Male voice. Official, cold. Who's asking? Detective Marcus Chen, Metro PD. I need to ask you some questions about an incident last night involving your ex-boyfriend, Jake Morrison. Her blood went cold. What kind of incident? He filed a complaint. Says you had someone assault him in your apartment. Says you're being coerced by a known criminal. Says he's concerned for your safety. Of course he did. Of course Jake turned this around, made himself the victim, weaponized the police against her. That's not what happened. Then I'd like to hear your version. Can you come down to the station? Am I being charged with something? Not at this time, but Mr. Morrison's allegations are serious. We need to investigate. Lena's hands shook. I want a lawyer. That's your right. But it might look... I want a lawyer, she repeated. And I'm not answering any questions until I have one. Silence. Then, fine. We'll be in touch. The line went dead. Lena stood frozen, phone pressed to her ear, panic climbing her throat. Jake had called the cops. He'd turned her asking for help into a crime. And now she was going to have to explain Adrian, explain the protection, explain why she'd called a criminal instead of 911. She called Adrian. He answered on the first ring. The police just called. Jake filed a complaint. They want to question me. Did you tell them anything? No, I asked for a lawyer. Good. Don't say anything else to anyone. I'm sending someone to handle this. Adrian, if this goes wrong, if they start investigating you because of me, they won't. This isn't my first time dealing with overeager cops and vindictive exes. Trust me. He's trying to ruin my life. He's trying. He won't succeed. Adrian's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. You're under my protection. That means I protect you from everything, including this. 2 hours later, a woman showed up at Lena's door. Expensive suit, expensive briefcase, expensive everything. Caroline Wright, she said, extending a hand. Adrian asked me to represent you. I can't afford. You're not paying. He is. Now let's talk about what happened last night so I can make sure this complaint goes nowhere. They talked for 3 hours. Caroline asked questions, detailed, specific, uncomfortable. She took notes, made calls, typed emails on her phone with quick, efficient fingers. Here's what's going to happen, she said finally. The police will realize Jake's complaint is retaliatory harassment from a rejected ex. They'll see that he broke into your apartment, which we have on camera now, thanks to Adrian's foresight. They'll see that you have legitimate cause to fear for your safety, and they'll close the case without charges. How can you be sure? Caroline smiled. It wasn't warm. Because I'm very good at my job. And because Jake is an idiot who thought the legal system would bail him out of facing consequences. She left with promises to handle everything. Lena sat in her secure apartment and felt the walls closing in. This was escalating. Too fast, too far. What started as a wrong number was becoming something she couldn't control, couldn't predict, couldn't escape. Her phone buzzed. Adrian, Caroline said you did well. The complaint won't stick. Jake's not going to stop. He'll find another way. Then I'll handle that too. This can't keep happening. I can't keep needing rescue. You're not weak for asking for help, Lena. You're smart for knowing when you're outmatched. And what happens when you get tired of rescuing me? When this stops being interesting? It won't. How do you know? Because you're not a project to me. You're not a problem to solve. You're someone I care about who deserves better than what she's been given. That doesn't have an expiration date. Lena read the message 3 times. Each time it hit harder. I don't know how to do this. Be with someone like you. You're already doing it. Just keep being honest. That's all I need. She wanted to believe him, but Maya's words echoed. There are always strings. Her doorbell rang. Lena checked the camera feed, new feature, courtesy of Nick's. A delivery guy stood in the hallway holding a large box. She opened the door with the chain still on. I didn't order anything. Delivery for Lena Cross, sender listed as Adrian Voss. Her heart did something complicated. Leave it outside. Thank you. She waited until he was gone, then pulled the box inside. It was heavy, expensive looking, the kind of packaging that screamed money. Inside, a laptop, top of the line, a note in Adrian's handwriting. Yours is 3 years old and crashes when you open too many tabs. Thought you could use an upgrade. Alina stared at it. The laptop probably cost 2 months of her rent. It was too much, way too much. This was exactly what Maya warned about. Gifts that created obligation, that made you feel indebted, that tied you to someone through material generosity. She should send it back. Instead, she set it up and found a second note inside the box. Before you argue, it's not a gift. It's self-interest. I need you to have reliable tech so you can respond when I text. Consider it my problem, not yours. Despite everything, Lena smiled. Then she opened the laptop and saw Adrian had already set it up. Her wallpaper was a photo she'd posted on social media months ago. A sunset over the city from the flower shop's roof. He'd remembered, paid attention, cared enough to make it personal instead of generic. The strings Maya warned about didn't feel like strings. They felt like care, like someone seeing her and responding to what he saw. Her phone rang. Not Adrian. Not Maya. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. Then something made her answer. Lena Cross? Who is this? Someone who knows what Adrian Voss is. Someone who knows what he does to people who get too close. The voice was male, calm, dangerous. You should walk away before you become collateral damage. Who is this? She demanded again. A concerned observer. Adrian's world is violent. People die. People disappear. People get hurt. You seem nice. I'd hate to see you added to the list. If you have something to say it to Adrian. I already have. He doesn't listen. Maybe you will. A pause. Ask him about the Constantine deal. Ask him what happened to the people who got in his way. Then decide if you really want to be in his orbit when the next war starts. The line went dead. Lena's hands trembled. Constantine. The name meant nothing to her, but the threat underneath was clear. She called Adrian immediately. Someone just called me, warned me about you. Mentioned something called the Constantine deal. Silence on the other end. Too long. Too heavy. Adrian, I'm here. Where are you? Home. Who was that? What's the Constantine deal? Something from my past, not your concern. It is if people are calling me about it. They called you to get to me, to make you doubt, to drive a wedge. Don't let them. Then tell me what it is. Tell me what happened. Lena? He stopped, breathed. There are parts of my life you're better off not knowing, not because I'm hiding things, because knowing them puts you at risk. I'm already at risk. Someone just threatened me. I'll handle it. How? By making it worse? By escalating until someone gets hurt? No one's going to hurt you. I won't allow it. You can't control everything, Adrian. Watch me. The certainty in his voice should have been comforting. Instead, it terrified her. I need space, she said. I need to think. Lena, don't. I'm not ending this. I'm not walking away. I just need time to process everything that's happened in the last 24 hours. Please. Silence. Then, okay, take the time you need, but keep your phone on. Keep the security active. And if anything feels wrong, you call me immediately. I will. I mean it, Lena. Don't try to handle things alone out of some misguided attempt at independence. Pride is dangerous. I know. She hung up and sat in her silent, secure apartment, wondering if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life or narrowly avoided it. The answer came 3 days later. Lena was walking home from work. Early evening, still light out, busy street. Safe enough. She wasn't being paranoid, wasn't looking over her shoulder every 5 seconds. Was trying to reclaim some normalcy. The car pulled up alongside her. Black. Expensive. Windows tinted. She kept walking. City rule. Don't engage, don't acknowledge, don't stop. The back door opened. Get in. Not a request. Lena turned to run and found a second man blocking the sidewalk behind her. Big. Professional. The kind who knew how to make people disappear in broad daylight without anyone noticing. Her hand dove for her phone. I wouldn't, the first man said. He was out of the car now, moving toward her with the casual confidence of someone who'd done this before. You call for help, my friend, there breaks your arm before the line connects. You try to run, we catch you in 5 seconds. You scream, we have a van around the corner, and you'll be unconscious before anyone can help. So let's make this easy. Get in the car. Come quietly. Nobody gets hurt. Lena's mind raced. The street was busy, but everyone was focused on their own lives. The panic button was in her apartment, useless. Her phone was in her hand, but he was right. She'd never get a call out in time. She had one option. Okay, she said. Don't hurt me. I'll come. Relief flickered across the man's face. He'd expected resistance. That gave her half a second. She dropped her phone. It clattered on the sidewalk, screen up, her last call still showing in recents. The man behind her bent to pick it up. Instinct, grabbed the evidence, and Lena ran. Not away from them. Toward the street. Toward traffic. Toward witnesses. She made it 3 steps before hands caught her, yanked her back, and something pressed against her neck. The world went sideways. Then dark. She woke in pieces, awareness returning in fragments, cold floor beneath her, zip ties cutting into her wrists, the smell of rust and mildew, muffled sounds of traffic somewhere far away. Lena opened her eyes. Warehouse. Empty. Windows too high to reach. 1 door closed, probably locked, and 3 men watching her like she was a problem that needed solving. She's awake, one said. Good. Saves us having to wait. The one who'd done the talking on the street crouched in front of her. Lena Cross, florist, 26, no family, few friends, recently single, and for some inexplicable reason, under Adrian Voss's protection. Fear turned her blood to ice water. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't insult both of us. Voss put cameras in your apartment, sent his lawyer to kill a police complaint, had Nix Calder install a security system at 3 in the morning. That's not casual interest. That's protection, which means you're valuable to him. The man smiled. And anything valuable to Adrian Voss is valuable to Victor Hale. The name meant nothing. The threat underneath meant everything. What do you want? For now? Proof of life. Evidence we have you. Leverage to make Adrian do what we want. He won't, Lena said. The certainty surprised her. He doesn't negotiate with people who take what's his. Oh, he'll negotiate, because if he doesn't, we start sending him pieces of you until he changes his mind. The casual cruelty of it made her stomach turn. You're going to kill me anyway. Probably, but how fast and how painfully depends entirely on how quickly Voss cooperates. He pulled out his phone. Smile for the camera. He took her picture, bruised, bound, terrified, then sent it somewhere. Now we wait, he said, and hope your boyfriend values you more than his pride. Lena closed her eyes and thought about the panic button by her bed, about Adrian's promise of protection, about the warnings she'd ignored, and she wondered if trust had been her biggest mistake, or if giving up on it would be. Time stretched. Minutes felt like hours. The men talked among themselves, casual, bored, like kidnapping was just another Tuesday. Then one of their phones rang. Yeah? He wants to meet? When? No, we keep the girl until after. Fine, midnight, warehouse district. He comes alone. Yeah, I know. Stupid question. He hung up and looked at his partners. Voss wants to negotiate in person. We meet him at midnight. And her? She stays here. Insurance in case he tries anything. The lead man looked at Lena. Looks like you get to live a few more hours. Try to enjoy them. They left one guard and disappeared into the warehouse's upper level. Lena tested her bonds. Too tight. No give. Her fingers were already going numb. The guard was young, 20s maybe. He kept glancing at her, then away, then back, like he was trying to decide something. You don't have to do this, Lena said quietly. Whatever they're paying you, it's not worth it. Shut up. I'm nobody, just a florist. I'm not valuable. I'm not important. They're using me to get to someone else. I said shut up. He'll come for me, Lena continued. Adrian, he'll come, and when he does, people will die. Maybe you. Is that really how you want this to end? The guard's hand drifted to his weapon. One more word and I gag you. Lena went quiet. Not because she was afraid of being gagged, because she heard something. Footsteps. Soft. Careful. Coming from somewhere she couldn't place. Then the lights went out. The guard cursed, fumbling for a flashlight. Before he could find it, someone moved in the darkness. Fast, practiced, lethal. A wet, choking sound. A body hitting the floor. Then a hand on Lena's shoulder, gentle but firm. Don't scream, Nix whispered. I'm cutting you loose. Can you walk? Lena nodded, unable to speak. Nix sliced through the zip ties, pulled Lena to her feet. Stay behind me. Don't run unless I tell you. Don't make noise. Understood? Another nod. They moved through the dark warehouse like shadows. Lena could hear shouts now, the other men realizing something was wrong. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. Nix pressed Lena against a wall. When I move, you go straight for that door. Don't look back. Don't wait for me. There's a car outside, black SUV. Get in and drive. Don't stop for anything. What about you? I'll be fine. Go. Gunfire erupted, deafening in the enclosed space. Lena flinched, covered her ears. Nix shoved her toward the door. Now! Lena ran. Behind her, more gunshots, shouting, the wet sounds of violence. She didn't look back. Burst through the door into cool night air. Saw the SUV exactly where Nix said it would be. The driver's side door was open. Keys in the ignition. Lena threw herself inside, locked the doors, started the engine with shaking hands, and saw Adrian. He stood in the warehouse entrance, silhouetted against the flickering lights inside. Blood on his hands, on his clothes, in his hair. He looked at her through the windshield, checking, making sure she was whole, then turned back to the darkness. Lena sat frozen behind the wheel, unable to leave, unable to move, unable to do anything but watch as Adrian Voss walked back into violence to finish what he'd started, to protect her, to save her, to prove that his promises weren't empty. The warehouse door closed. The sounds inside stopped, and Lena understood with perfect, terrifying clarity. She wasn't just under Adrian's protection anymore. She was his, and there was no going back from that. Lena sat in the SUV with the engine running, hands locked on the steering wheel, unable to make her body obey the simple command to drive away. The warehouse stood before her like a mouth, dark, consuming, full of sounds she didn't want to interpret. Another gunshot cracked the night. Then silence. The kind of silence that meant someone wasn't breathing anymore. Her phone vibrated in her pocket. She didn't remember grabbing it from the sidewalk, but it was there, screen cracked from the fall. Maya's name flashing across it. 12 missed calls, 27 texts. All variations of the same panic. Where are you? Please answer. Are you okay? Lena's thumb hovered over the callback button. What would she even say? That she'd been kidnapped by men who wanted to use her as leverage against a criminal she'd let into her life? That she was sitting outside a warehouse where people were dying because of her? That she'd crossed a line tonight she could never uncross? The warehouse door opened. Adrian emerged first, then Nix, both moving with the careful efficiency of people who'd done terrible things and needed to make sure no evidence followed them out. Adrian's shirt was ruined, dark stains that looked black in the dim light, but Lena knew were red. His knuckles were split. Blood streaked his forearms where he'd rolled up his sleeves. He saw the SUV, saw her still sitting there. Something crossed his face. Relief and fury tangled together. He crossed to the driver's side and tapped the window. Lena unlocked it with shaking fingers. Why are you still here? His voice was rough, strained. I told Nix to tell you to drive. I couldn't leave you. You should have. That was the plan. Plans change. Adrian closed his eyes, breathed carefully through his nose. When he opened them again, the fury was banked but still burning underneath. Get out. Nix will drive. You're in no condition. Lena wanted to argue, but her hands were trembling so badly she couldn't feel the steering wheel anymore. She climbed out on legs that barely held her weight. Adrian caught her elbow, steadying her, and the warmth of his hand against her skin made something crack inside her chest. Are you hurt? He turned her face toward the light, checking for injuries with quick clinical efficiency. Did they touch you? Hit you? Anything? No, they tied me up, took my picture, waited. Waited for what? For you. They said you'd negotiate, that I was leverage. Adrian's jaw tightened. They were wrong. Were they? Lena pulled back to look at him properly. Because you came. You walked into whatever that was to get me out. That sounds like leverage to me. That's not negotiation. That's elimination. He said it like he was discussing the weather. Like violence was just another problem he'd solved with the same efficiency as installing security systems. Nix opened the back door of the SUV. We need to move. Police response time to gunshots in this district is 8 minutes. We've used 6. Adrian guided Lena into the back seat and slid in beside her. Nix took the wheel and pulled out smoothly. No rush. Nothing to attract attention. Just another car leaving an industrial area at night. They drove in silence. Lena watched the city slide past. Familiar streets that felt alien now. Normal people living normal lives that she wasn't part of anymore. She'd crossed over, stepped through the mirror, and there was no path back to the girl who arranged flowers and avoided confrontation and believed the world was fundamentally safe. Where are we going? She asked finally. Somewhere secure, Adrian said. Somewhere Victor Hale's people can't reach you. Who is Victor Hale? Someone who's been a problem for a long time. Someone who just made himself a terminal problem by touching you. The possessiveness in his voice should have frightened her. Instead, it sparked something hot and fierce in her chest. What are you going to do to him? Nothing you need to worry about. Stop protecting me from information. I'm already in this. I deserve to know. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Then, Victor runs operations on the north side. Smuggling, extortion, some human trafficking. He and I have an understanding. I stay out of his territory, he stays out of mine. He violated that tonight. Why? What does he want from you? Access to my distribution networks. He's been pushing for a partnership for 6 months. I refused, so he decided to force my hand by taking something valuable. Adrian's expression went dark. He miscalculated. I don't respond well to threats. What happens now? Now Victor learns what happens when you cross lines that shouldn't be crossed. Lena studied his profile, the hard set of his jaw, the cold calculation in his eyes, the absolute certainty that he would win this because failure wasn't an option. This was what he was. Not the man who texted her about old movies and remembered her coffee order. The man who solved problems through controlled violence and made people disappear when they became inconvenient. She should be horrified. Should demand Nick stop the car and let her out. Should run as far and fast as her legs could carry her. Instead, she reached over and took his blood-stained hand. Adrian, startled, actually flinched like her touch burned. He looked down at their joined hands, at her small fingers threaded through his ruined knuckles, and something in his expression fractured. "You should be afraid of me," he said quietly, "after what you saw tonight, after what I did. You should be demanding I take you home and never contact you again." "Should I?" "Yes. Why?" "Because I'm dangerous, Lena. Because I just killed 3 men and I don't feel guilty about it. Because I would have killed 30 if that's what it took to get you back. That's not normal. That's not healthy. That's not something you should be comfortable with. Maybe I'm not comfortable. Maybe I'm terrified. Maybe I'm going to have nightmares for months about tonight." She squeezed his hand harder. "But I'm also alive because of you, safe because of you. And I'm tired of pretending that's not worth something." "It's worth everything to me," Adrian said. "That's the problem. You're worth everything, and I'm starting to realize I'd burn the whole city down before I let someone hurt you. That should terrify you." "It does," Lena admitted, "but not as much as being alone terrifies me anymore." They looked at each other in the dim back seat. 2 people who'd stumbled into something neither of them knew how to handle, bound together by circumstances and choices, and a wrong number that had stopped feeling wrong weeks ago. Nix cleared her throat from the front seat. "We're here." Here was a high-rise in the financial district, the kind of building that cost more per month than Lena made in a year. Doorman, security cameras, marble lobby, everything screaming money and power and exclusivity. Adrian led her to a private elevator that required a key card. They rode up in silence. Lena, Adrian, and Nix, all processing the night in their own ways. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse. Lena stepped out and stopped. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum, art on the walls that was probably original, everything sleek and expensive and completely impersonal. "This is where you live?" she asked. "It's where I sleep sometimes. I wouldn't call it living." Adrian moved past her toward what looked like a bar. He poured himself 3 fingers of whiskey and downed it in one swallow. "The guest room is through there. Everything you need should be in the closet. Clothes, toiletries. I'll have someone bring your things from your apartment tomorrow." "I'm staying here?" "Until I neutralize the threat. Yes." "For how long?" "As long as it takes." Lena's temper flared. "You can't just lock me in a tower and expect me to wait while you go to war." "I can and I will." Adrian poured another drink but didn't lift it, just stared at the amber liquid like it held answers. "Victor knows you're important to me now. That makes you a target. Every person in his organization will be looking for an opportunity to grab you again. You're not safe anywhere but here. I have a job, a life. Friends who are probably losing their minds because I disappeared. I'll handle it. I'll call your work and explain you're taking emergency medical leave. I'll have someone contact Maya and let her know you're safe, but you're not leaving this building until Victor is dealt with." "That's not your decision to make." "Yes, it is." Adrian finally looked at her. "You asked to be under my protection. This is what that looks like. I keep you safe even when you hate me for it." Lena wanted to scream, wanted to throw something, wanted to storm out and prove she didn't need him. But the memory of zip ties cutting into her wrists, of men discussing her dismemberment like it was a business transaction, of true helplessness, that memory kept her rooted in place. "How long?" she asked again. 3 days, maybe 4. Depends on how quickly Victor responds to my message." "What message?" "The one I left in that warehouse. 3 dead men and a very clear warning about what happens when you touch what's mine." "What's mine?" The words hung between them. I'm not a possession, Lena said quietly. I know you're not. But Victor doesn't speak any language except ownership and power, so I'm making it clear in terms he understands you're off limits, permanently. Nyx appeared from wherever she'd disappeared to. Perimeter's secure. I've got people on every entrance and exit. No one gets in or out without our knowledge. Good. You're staying too. Nyx nodded and left without argument. Adrian finally lifted the second drink. You should get some sleep. He stopped. It's been a night. Lena laughed, bitter, exhausted. That's an understatement. She headed toward the guest room, then stopped at the doorway. Adrian? Yeah? Thank you. For coming for me. She struggled for words. For keeping your promise. His expression softened. Always, Lena. No matter what it costs. The guest room was obscenely comfortable. King bed with sheets that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Attached bathroom with a shower that had 6 different settings. Walk-in closet stocked with clothes in her exact size. How did he know her size? All still tagged, brand new. Lena stripped off her ruined clothes and stood under scalding water until her skin turned pink. She scrubbed away the warehouse smell, rust and mildew and fear. Washed her hair 3 times. Watched the water circle the drain and wished it could carry away the memory of tonight as easily. When she finally emerged, wrapped in a towel that was somehow heated, she found clothes laid out on the bed. Soft pajamas. Nothing revealing or suggestive, just comfortable. She dressed and climbed into bed and lay there staring at the ceiling, knowing sleep was impossible. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the warehouse, felt the zip ties, heard the casual cruelty in her captor's voice. A soft knock on the door. Come in, she called. Adrian entered, changed now into clean clothes, hair still damp from his own shower. Can't sleep? Not even close. Me neither. He sat on the edge of the bed, careful to maintain distance. I keep running through everything. What I could have done differently, how I could have prevented it. It's not your fault. Isn't it? Victor targeted you because of me, because I put you in his crosshairs by protecting you in the first place. If I'd stayed away after that first call, I'd be dealing with Jake alone. I'd probably be in worse danger from him than I ever was from Victor. You don't know that. Neither do you. Lena shifted to face him. Stop torturing yourself with hypotheticals. You saved my life tonight. That's what matters. Adrian's hands curled into fists against his thighs. I should have gotten there sooner, before they grabbed you, before you had to feel that fear. But you didn't. And I did feel it, and now I have to live with that. She reached over and covered his fist with her hand. We both do. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Adrian said, Tell me about it. What happened? Every detail. I need to know. So Lena told him. The car pulling up, the men boxing her in. The choice that wasn't really a choice. Waking up in the warehouse, the photograph, the threats, the waiting. Adrian listened without interrupting, jaw getting tighter with each detail. By the time she finished, his whole body was vibrating with suppressed rage. I'm going to kill him, he said quietly. Victor Hale. I'm going to kill him slowly and make sure he knows exactly why he's dying. Will that fix anything? No. But it'll make sure he can't hurt anyone else the way he hurt you. Lena studied his profile. Have you killed people before? Before tonight? She expected him to deflect, to refuse to answer. Instead, he said, Yes. How many? I stopped counting after 12. The number should have shocked her, should have sent her running. Instead, she just felt tired. Do you regret any of them? No. Everyone was necessary. Everyone was someone who hurt people weaker than themselves and needed to be stopped. He finally looked at her. Does that make me a monster? I don't know. Maybe. Does it matter? It matters to me. What you think of me matters to me. Lena shifted closer, close enough that their shoulders touched. I think you're dangerous. I think you're capable of terrible things. I think you operate in a world I don't understand and probably never will. She leaned her head against his shoulder. I also think you're the only person in my entire life who's kept every promise they ever made to me. So maybe you're a monster, but you're my monster. Adrian went very still. Then his arm came around her shoulders, pulling her closer. That's the most terrifying thing anyone's ever said to me. Why? Because it means you're in as deep as I am, and I don't know how to protect you from that. They sat like that until Lena's eyes finally grew heavy, until the adrenaline crashed and exhaustion pulled her under. She felt Adrian shift, felt him lift her like she weighed nothing, felt the softness of the mattress beneath her as he laid her down and pulled the covers up. "Stay," she mumbled, half asleep. "Don't leave." "I'm not going anywhere," Adrian said. "I promise." She felt the mattress dip as he settled beside her, on top of the covers, maintaining that last boundary. His hand found hers in the darkness. Lena held on and let herself fall. Morning came with winter light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the smell of coffee. Lena woke alone. Adrian's side of the bed already cold. She found him in the kitchen, talking quietly on the phone, coffee in one hand and what looked like a tablet in the other. He saw her and ended the call immediately. "How'd you sleep?" "Better than I expected." She poured herself coffee from the pot he'd already made, black, exactly how she liked it. "What's happening?" Victor's attorney reached out. "Wants to arrange a meeting." "Is that good?" "Depends on what he's offering." Adrian set down the tablet. "Either he's ready to negotiate terms of surrender or he's planning something. Won't know until I hear him out." "When's the meeting?" "Tonight. Neutral territory, public place." Fear spiked through her. What if it's a trap? It probably is. But I'm going anyway. I need to end this before it escalates further. He studied her face. "You'll stay here with Nix, full security. No leaving the penthouse for any reason." Lena wanted to argue, wanted to insist she come with him, wanted to do anything but sit in a gilded cage while he walked into danger. But she'd seen what happened when people underestimated Adrian's enemies. The warehouse was proof enough. "Okay," she said, "but you come back. No heroic sacrifices, no last stands. You handle Victor, and you come back." "I will. Promise me." Adrian crossed to her and cupped her face in both hands. "I promise. I'll come back to you. Always." He kissed her forehead, gentle, reverent, completely at odds with the violence he was capable of. Then he was gone, moving through the penthouse with purpose, making calls, coordinating people, preparing for war. Lena spent the day trying not to spiral. She texted Maya, brief, vague, just enough to prove she was alive. Maya's response was immediate and furious. "Where are you? What happened? I've been losing my mind. I'm safe. I'll explain everything soon. I promise I'm okay." "Are you with him? With Adrian?" "Yes." "Lena, this is insane. You need to come home. You need to get away from whatever this is before it destroys you." Lena stared at the message. Maya was right. This was insane. She was holed up in a criminal's penthouse while he prepared to confront another criminal over her. Normal people didn't live like this. Normal people called the police and filed restraining orders and trusted the system to protect them. But Lena had called Adrian instead, had chosen his protection over the law, had let him pull her into his world, and now she was drowning in it. "I know," she typed back, "but I don't know how to leave." You just leave. You walk out the door and you don't look back. Could she? Could she really walk away from Adrian after everything? After he'd saved her life, kept his promises, shown her a kind of devotion she'd never experienced before? She didn't answer. Didn't know how to. The hours crawled past. Nix appeared periodically, checking in, bringing food Lena couldn't eat, offering conversation Lena couldn't focus on. Evening came, then night. Adrian left at 9, dressed in dark clothes, expression unreadable. "Lock the door behind me," he said. "Don't open it for anyone but Nix. Be careful." "Always am." Then he was gone, and Lena was alone with her thoughts and her fear and the crushing certainty that something was going to go wrong. She tried to distract herself, turned on the TV, couldn't focus, picked up a book from Adrian's shelf, couldn't read. Paced the penthouse like a caged animal, checking her phone every 30 seconds for updates that never came. At 11:47, her phone rang. Unknown number, her heart stopped. She almost didn't answer. Then some instinct made her pick up. "Hello? Lena Cross." The voice was smooth, cultured, nothing like the thugs from the warehouse. "My name is Victor Hale. I believe we have a mutual friend. Ice flooded her veins. How did you get this number? I get everything I want eventually. It's just a matter of time and resources. A pause. I assume Adrian is on his way to our meeting right now, probably bringing half his organization for backup, probably planning some dramatic confrontation. What do you want? To give you a choice, a real one. Not the illusion of choice Adrian's been offering you. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you? He's pulled you into his world, made you dependent on his protection, isolated you from your normal life. That's not love, Lena. That's control. And sooner or later, control turns into a cage you can't escape. Adrian's not like that, isn't he? Ask yourself this. When's the last time you made a decision he didn't approve? When's the last time you went somewhere he didn't know about? When's the last time you felt truly free? The words hit harder than they should have, because Victor was right. She hadn't made a single independent choice since the night Jake broke in. Every decision had been filtered through Adrian's protection, his approval, his world. What's the choice? She asked quietly. Simple. You leave. Tonight. Right now. I'll have a car waiting downstairs. You get in, you disappear, you start fresh somewhere Adrian can't find you. In exchange, this war between us ends. No more bloodshed, no more escalation. Everyone walks away. And if I don't, then Adrian and I finish this the way these things always finish. One of us dies. Maybe both. And you get to live knowing you could have stopped it but chose his protection over peace. Victor's voice softened. I'm not the monster he's painted me as, Lena. I'm a businessman. I don't want war. I want resolution. You're the key to that. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't. But you know Adrian will never let you go. You know he'll keep pulling you deeper until there's nothing left of the person you were. At least with me, you get your life back. Lena's hand shook so badly she nearly dropped the phone. I need time to think. You have 10 minutes. After that, the offer expires and Adrian walks into an ambush that will kill him and everyone he brought with him. Your choice, Lena. His life or your freedom. 10 minutes. The line went dead. Lena stood frozen in the center of Adrian's penthouse, phone pressed to her ear, mind racing. This was manipulation. Had to be. Victor was playing her, exploiting her doubts, turning her against Adrian. But what if he was right? What if Adrian's protection was just another form of control? What if she'd traded one cage for another, prettier one? She thought about Jake, about 3 years of making herself smaller, quieter, easier, about losing herself piece by piece to keep someone else comfortable. Was she doing the same thing with Adrian? Just faster, more intense, wrapped in protection instead of criticism? Her phone buzzed. Text from Nix. Everything okay in there? Lena typed back, fine, just restless. Another buzz. Maya, please tell me you're okay. Please tell me you're coming home. Home. When was the last time anywhere had felt like home? Her apartment was haunted by Jake. Maya's couch was temporary. Adrian's penthouse was a gilded cage. Maybe Victor was offering the only real escape she'd ever get. Her hands moved before her brain caught up. She grabbed her phone, her wallet, the clothes she'd worn yesterday, still ruined, but better than the designer pajamas that screamed money. She changed quickly, hands shaking, heart hammering. The penthouse door had a security panel. She'd watched Adrian punch in the code that morning, 4729. Her birthday. The realization made her chest ache. She punched in the code. The lock clicked. She opened the door and Nix was there, gun drawn, expression cold. Going somewhere? Lena's breath stopped. I need air. I was just... You were leaving. Nix didn't lower the weapon. Because someone called you. Someone convinced you that running was safer than staying. How did you... Because I'm good at my job. Because I've been monitoring all communications in and out of this building. Because Victor Hale is predictable, and this is exactly the play I'd make if I were him. Nick stepped closer. He offered you a deal, didn't he? Your freedom for Adrian's life. Very dramatic, very effective on someone who's already drowning in guilt and fear. He said Adrian would die if I didn't leave, that this war would end if I just disappeared, gave up, let Victor win. Nix finally lowered the gun. He lied, Lena, about all of it. Even if you left, the war wouldn't end. It would just change shape. Victor doesn't want peace, he wants Adrian vulnerable. And you're his best weapon for that. How do you know? Because I've been doing this for 15 years. Because men like Victor don't negotiate. They manipulate. They find your weakness, and they exploit it until you destroy yourself trying to escape. Nix's expression softened fractionally. Adrian's weakness is you. Victor knows that, and he's using it. Lena's legs gave out. She sank to the floor right there in the doorway, head in her hands. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to trust. I don't know anything anymore. Then trust the person who's kept every promise. Trust the person who walked into a warehouse full of armed men because you asked. This response didn't load. Try again by chatting to Claude. Lena sat in the SUV with the engine running, hands locked on the steering wheel, unable to make her body obey the simple command to drive away. The warehouse stood before her like a mouth, dark, consuming, full of sounds she didn't want to interpret. Another gunshot cracked the night, then silence. The kind of silence that meant someone wasn't breathing anymore. Her phone vibrated in her pocket. She didn't remember grabbing it from the sidewalk, but it was there, screen cracked from the fall, Maya's name flashing across it. 12 missed calls, 27 texts, all variations of the same panic. Where are you? Please answer. Are you okay? Lena's thumb hovered over the callback button. What would she even say? That she'd been kidnapped by men who wanted to use her as leverage against a criminal she'd led into her life? That she was sitting outside a warehouse where people were dying because of her? That she'd crossed a line tonight she could never uncross? The warehouse door opened. Adrian emerged first, then Nix, both moving with the careful efficiency of people who'd done terrible things and needed to make sure no evidence followed them out. Adrian's shirt was ruined, dark stains that looked black in the dim light, but Lena knew were red. His knuckles were split. Blood streaked his forearms where he'd rolled up his sleeves. He saw the SUV, saw her still sitting there. Something crossed his face, relief and fury tangled together. He crossed to the driver's side and tapped the window. Lena unlocked it with shaking fingers. Why are you still here? His voice was rough, strained. I told Nix to tell you to drive. I couldn't leave you. You should have. That was the plan. Plans change. Adrian closed his eyes, breathed carefully through his nose. When he opened them again, the fury was banked but still burning underneath. Get out. Nix will drive. You're in no condition. Lena wanted to argue, but her hands were trembling so badly she couldn't feel the steering wheel anymore. She climbed out on legs that barely held her weight. Adrian caught her elbow, steadying her, and the warmth of his hand against her skin made something crack inside her chest. Are you hurt? He turned her face toward the light, checking for injuries with quick, clinical efficiency. Did they touch you? Hit you? Anything? No, they tied me up, took my picture, waited. Waited for what? For you. They said you'd negotiate, that I was leverage. Adrian's jaw tightened. They were wrong. Were they? Lena pulled back to look at him properly. Because you came. You walked into whatever that was to get me out. That sounds like leverage to me. That's not negotiation. That's elimination. He said it like he was discussing the weather. Like violence was just another problem he'd solved with the same efficiency as installing security systems. Nix opened the back door of the SUV. We need to move. Police response time to gunshots in this district is 8 minutes. We've used 6. Adrian guided Lena into the back seat and slid in beside her. Nix took the wheel and pulled out smoothly. No rush, nothing to attract attention. Just another car leaving an industrial area at night. They drove in silence. Lena watched the city slide past. Familiar streets that felt alien now. Normal people living normal lives that she wasn't part of anymore. She'd crossed over, stepped through the mirror, and there was no path back to the girl who arranged flowers and avoided confrontation and believed the world was fundamentally safe. Where are we going? She asked finally. Somewhere secure, Adrian said. Somewhere Victor Hale's people can't reach you. Who is Victor Hale? Someone who's been a problem for a long time. Someone who just made himself a terminal problem by touching you. The possessiveness in his voice should have frightened her. Instead, it sparked something hot and fierce in her chest. What are you going to do to him? Nothing you need to worry about. Stop protecting me from information. I'm already in this. I deserve to know. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Then, Victor runs operations on the north side. Smuggling, extortion, some human trafficking. He and I have an understanding. I stay out of his territory, he stays out of mine. He violated that tonight. Why? What does he want from you? Access to my distribution networks. He's been pushing for a partnership for 6 months. I refused. So he decided to force my hand by taking something valuable. Adrian's expression went dark. He miscalculated. I don't respond well to threats. What happens now? Now Victor learns what happens when you cross lines that shouldn't be crossed. Lena studied his profile, the hard set of his jaw, the cold calculation in his eyes, the absolute certainty that he would win this because failure wasn't an option. This was what he was. Not the man who texted her about old movies and remembered her coffee order. The man who solved problems through controlled violence and made people disappear when they became inconvenient. She should be horrified. Should demand Nick stop the car and let her out. Should run as far and fast as her legs could carry her. Instead, she reached over and took his blood-stained hand. Adrian startled, actually flinched like her touch burned. He looked down at their joined hands, at her small fingers threaded through his ruined knuckles, and something in his expression fractured. You should be afraid of me, he said quietly. After what you saw tonight, after what I did, you should be demanding I take you home and never contact you again. Should I? Yes. Why? Because I'm dangerous, Lena. Because I just killed 3 men and I don't feel guilty about it. Because I would have killed 30 if that's what it took to get you back. That's not normal. That's not healthy. That's not something you should be comfortable with. Maybe I'm not comfortable. Maybe I'm terrified. Maybe I'm going to have nightmares for months about tonight. She squeezed his hand harder. But I'm also alive because of you, safe because of you, and I'm tired of pretending that's not worth something. It's worth everything to me, Adrian said. That's the problem. You're worth everything, and I'm starting to realize I'd burn the whole city down before I let someone hurt you. That should terrify you. It does, Lena admitted. But not as much as being alone terrifies me anymore. They looked at each other in the dim back seat. 2 people who'd stumbled into something neither of them knew how to handle, bound together by circumstances and choices, and a wrong number that had stopped feeling wrong weeks ago. Nix cleared her throat from the front seat. We're here. Here was a high-rise in the financial district, the kind of building that cost more per month than Lena made in a year. Doorman, security cameras, marble lobby, everything screaming money and power and exclusivity. Adrian led her to a private elevator that required a key card. They rode up in silence, Lena, Adrian, and Nix, all processing the night in their own ways. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse. Lena stepped out and stopped. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. Art on the walls that was probably original. Everything sleek and expensive and completely impersonal. This is where you live? She asked. It's where I sleep sometimes. I wouldn't call it living. Adrian moved past her toward what looked like a bar. He poured himself 3 fingers of whiskey and downed it in one swallow. The guest room is through there. Everything you need should be in the closet. Clothes, toiletries. I'll have someone bring your things from your apartment tomorrow. I'm staying here? Until I neutralize the threat. Yes. For how long? As long as it takes. Lena's temper flared. You can't just lock me in a tower and expect me to wait while you go to war. I can, and I will. Adrian poured another drink, but didn't lift it. Just stared at the amber liquid like it held answers. Victor knows you're important to me now. That makes you a target. Every person in his organization will be looking for an opportunity to grab you again. You're not safe anywhere but here. I have a job. A life. Friends who are probably losing their minds because I disappeared. I'll handle it. I'll call your work and explain you're taking emergency medical leave. I'll have someone contact Maya and let her know you're safe. But you're not leaving this building until Victor is dealt with. That's not your decision to make. Yes, it is. Adrian finally looked at her. You asked to be under my protection. This is what that looks like. I keep you safe even when you hate me for it. Lena wanted to scream, wanted to throw something, wanted to storm out and prove she didn't need him, but the memory of zip ties cutting into her wrists, of men discussing her dismemberment like it was a business transaction, of true helplessness, that memory kept her rooted in place. How long? She asked again. 3 days, maybe 4. Depends on how quickly Victor responds to my message. What message? The one I left in that warehouse. 3 dead men and a very clear warning about what happens when you touch what's mine. What's mine? The words hung between them. I'm not a possession, Lena said quietly. I know you're not. But Victor doesn't speak any language except ownership and power. So I'm making it clear in terms he understands, you're off limits, permanently. Nyx appeared from wherever she'd disappeared to. Perimeter's secure. I've got people on every entrance and exit. No one gets in or out without our knowledge. Good. You're staying too. Nyx nodded and left without argument. Adrian finally lifted the second drink. You should get some sleep. It's been... He stopped. It's been a night. Lena laughed, bitter, exhausted. That's an understatement. She headed toward the guest room, then stopped at the doorway. Adrian? Yeah? Thank you. For coming for me. For... She struggled for words. For keeping your promise. His expression softened. Always, Lena, no matter what it costs. The guest room was obscenely comfortable. King bed with sheets that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Attached bathroom with a shower that had 6 different settings. Walk-in closet stocked with clothes in her exact size. How did he know her size? All still tagged, brand new. Lena stripped off her ruined clothes and stood under scalding water until her skin turned pink. She scrubbed away the warehouse smell, rust and mildew and fear. Washed her hair 3 times. Watched the water circle the drain and wished it could carry away the memory of tonight as easily. When she finally emerged, wrapped in a towel that was somehow heated, she found clothes laid out on the bed. Soft pajamas. Nothing revealing or suggestive, just comfortable. She dressed and climbed into bed and lay there staring at the ceiling, knowing sleep was impossible. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the warehouse, felt the zip ties, heard the casual cruelty in her captor's voice. A soft knock on the door. Come in, she called. Adrian entered, changed now into clean clothes, hair still damp from his own shower. Can't sleep? Not even close. Me neither. He sat on the edge of the bed, careful to maintain distance. I keep running through everything, what I could have done differently, how I could have prevented it. It's not your fault, isn't it? Victor targeted you because of me, because I put you in his crosshairs by protecting you in the first place. If I'd stayed away after that first call, I'd be dealing with Jake alone. I'd probably be in worse danger from him than I ever was from Victor. You don't know that. Neither do you. Lena shifted to face him. Stop torturing yourself with hypotheticals. You saved my life tonight. That's what matters. Adrian's hands curled into fists against his thighs. I should have gotten there sooner, before they grabbed you, before you had to feel that fear. But you didn't, and I did feel it, and now I have to live with that. She reached over and covered his fist with her hand. We both do. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Adrian said, Tell me about it. What happened? Every detail. I need to know. So Lena told him. The car pulling up. The men boxing her in. The choice that wasn't really a choice. Waking up in the warehouse. The photograph. The threats. The waiting. Adrian listened without interrupting, jaw getting tighter with each detail. By the time she finished, his whole body was vibrating with suppressed rage. I'm going to kill him, he said quietly. Victor Hale. I'm going to kill him slowly and make sure he knows exactly why he's dying. Will that fix anything? No, but it'll make sure he can't hurt anyone else the way he hurt you. Lena studied his profile. Have you killed people before tonight? She expected him to deflect, to refuse to answer. Instead, he said yes. How many? I stopped counting after 12. The number should have shocked her, should have sent her running. Instead, she just felt tired. Do you regret any of them? No. Everyone was necessary. Everyone was someone who hurt people weaker than themselves and needed to be stopped. He finally looked at her. Does that make me a monster? I don't know. Maybe. Does it matter? It matters to me. What you think of me matters to me. Lena shifted closer, close enough that their shoulders touched. I think you're dangerous. I think you're capable of terrible things. I think you operate in a world I don't understand and probably never will. She leaned her head against his shoulder. I also think you're the only person in my entire life who's kept every promise they ever made to me. So maybe you're a monster, but you're my monster. Adrian went very still. Then his arm came around her shoulders, pulling her closer. That's the most terrifying thing anyone's ever said to me. Why? Because it means you're in as deep as I am, and I don't know how to protect you from that. They sat like that until Lena's eyes finally grew heavy, until the adrenaline crashed and exhaustion pulled her under. She felt Adrian shift, felt him lift her like she weighed nothing, felt the softness of the mattress beneath her as he laid her down and pulled the covers up. Stay, she mumbled, half asleep. Don't leave. I'm not going anywhere, Adrian said. I promise. She felt the mattress dip as he settled beside her, on top of the covers, maintaining that last boundary. His hand found hers in the darkness. Lena held on and let herself fall. Morning came with winter light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the smell of coffee. Lena woke alone, Adrian's side of the bed already cold. She found him in the kitchen, talking quietly on the phone, coffee in one hand and what looked like a tablet in the other. He saw her and ended the call immediately. How'd you sleep? Better than I expected. She poured herself coffee from the pot he'd already made, black, exactly how she liked it. What's happening? Victor's not responding. No contact, no retaliation, nothing. Adrian set down the tablet, frustration etched in every line of his face. He's gone silent. That's either very good or very bad. Which do you think it is? Bad. Men like Victor don't retreat, they regroup. So what do? We wait, and we prepare. He moved to the window, looking out over the city like he could spot threats from 40 floors up. I've got people watching his known locations, monitoring his communications. If he so much as breathes wrong, I'll know about it. Lena joined him at the window. Below, the city moved, cars and people and ordinary lives continuing while she stood trapped in a tower waiting for the next blow to fall. How long have you been doing this? Living like this? Since I was 22, 10 years now. Don't you get tired of it? The constant vigilance? Never being able to just exist without watching your back? Every single day. Adrian's reflection in the glass looked haunted. But this is the life I chose. The life I built. I can't walk away from it even if I wanted to. Why not? Because I know too much. Because I've made too many enemies. Because the second I show weakness, someone will exploit it. He turned to face her properly. That's why I need you to understand. Being with me means accepting this. The danger. The violence. The never knowing if today's the day everything falls apart. I can't offer you normal. I can't offer you safe. All I can offer is that I'll fight like hell to keep you alive. What if I don't want you to fight? What if I just want you? Adrian's expression cracked. You can't separate the two, Lena. I am the fight. I am the violence. Take that away and there's nothing left. I don't believe that. Then you're naive. The words stung. Lena stepped back, arms crossing defensively. Don't do that. Don't reduce me to some innocent fool who doesn't understand what she's gotten into. Then stop acting like this is some romance where love conquers all. This is survival, pure and simple. And survival means making hard choices that hurt people you care about. Is that what I am to you? A hard choice? You're the hardest choice I've ever made. Adrian moved closer, tension radiating off him like heat. Because keeping you safe means showing you parts of myself I never wanted you to see. Means dragging you deeper into darkness you should never have touched. Means accepting that I'm fundamentally selfish because I won't let you go even knowing what it costs you. What if I don't want you to let me go? Then you're as selfish as I am, and we'll both have to live with what that means. They stood inches apart, the air between them charged with everything they weren't saying. Lena could feel her pulse hammering, could see Adrian's jaw working like he was physically restraining himself from closing the distance. Her phone shattered the moment. She grabbed it from the counter. Maya calling for the 15th time since last night. I need to answer this, Lena said. Adrian nodded and stepped back, giving her space. Lena accepted the call. Hey! Hey! Maya's voice was sharp enough to cut. You disappear for 24 hours, send me one cryptic text, and now it's just, hey, like nothing happened? I'm sorry. Things have been complicated. Complicated, right, because you're still with him, still in whatever nightmare he's pulled you into.
A shaky breath. Lena, please, just tell me where you are. Let me come get you. We can figure this out together. I can't. Can't or won't.
Both. Maya,
Lena struggled for words that wouldn't sound insane.
I'm safe. I promise I'm safe. But I need you to trust me, please. How can I trust you when you're lying to yourself? Maya's voice cracked. You're not safe. You're in a cage. And the worst part is you've convinced yourself it's protection.
The words hit too close. Lena glanced at Adrian, who was pointedly not listening but clearly hearing every word. I have to go. I'll call you when I can. Lena, wait! She hung up, set the phone down, stared at it like it might explode. She's right, you know, Adrian said quietly. About the cage. Don't. I'm serious. You should listen to her. Walk out that door. Go back to your normal life. Forget you ever sent that message. Is that what you want? It's what you need. That's not what I asked. Adrian turned away, hands braced on the counter, shoulders tight. What I want doesn't matter. What I want is dangerous for you. Tell me anyway. I want to keep you. I want to lock every door and throw away the key. I want to eliminate every threat and build a world where nothing can touch you. I want to be selfish and possessive and completely unreasonable about your safety. He looked over his shoulder at her. I want things I have no right to want from someone I've known 6 weeks, and that should terrify you. It did, but it also made her heart race for entirely different reasons. Before Lena could respond, Nix burst through the door, phone in hand, expression grim. We have a problem. Adrian straightened immediately. What kind of problem? The kind where Victor just uploaded a video to every major crime network in the city. Nix held up her phone. You need to see this. She hit play. The video showed a man, mid-50s, silver hair, expensive suit. He sat in what looked like an office, hands folded calmly on a desk. When he spoke, his voice was smooth, cultured, nothing like Lena expected from a criminal. Adrian Voss, by now you've realized your little message didn't have the desired effect. 3 dead men means nothing to me. I have hundreds more who'd die for the right price. What I don't have is patience for your posturing. Victor leaned forward slightly. So here's my counteroffer. You have 48 hours to deliver Lena Cross to a location I'll provide. She comes willingly, unharmed, alone. In exchange, I forget this unfortunate incident ever happened. We go back to our respective territories and pretend none of this occurred. He smiled. Or, and this is the option I'm hoping you choose, you refuse. You dig in, you fight, and I systematically dismantle everything you've built over the last 10 years. Your networks, your people, your carefully constructed empire. All of it burns because you couldn't let go of one insignificant woman. Victor's expression hardened. The choice is yours, Adrian. Her life for everything you've worked for. You have 48 hours. Choose wisely. The video ended. Silence filled the penthouse. Lena felt like she couldn't breathe, like the walls were closing in, like everything was spiraling completely out of control. He's bluffing, Nick said, but her voice lacked conviction. He can't actually take down your entire operation in 48 hours. He can if he's been planning this for months. Adrian's voice was hollow. If he's already positioned people inside my organization, if this was never about partnership and always about elimination. You think he has moles? I think he just confirmed it by knowing exactly where to hit me. Adrian pulled out his phone, started typing rapidly. We need to lock down everything, now. No one moves without my direct approval. No shipments, no transactions, nothing until we root out who's compromised. Lena found her voice. What about the 48 hours? Irrelevant. I'm not giving you to him. Even if it costs you everything? Especially then. Adrian didn't look up from his phone. Nix, I need a list of everyone who's had access to my operation schedules for the last 6 months. Cross-reference it with anyone who's had unexplained income or unusual communication patterns. On it. Nix disappeared into another room. Lena crossed to Adrian and put her hand over his phone, forcing him to stop. To look at her. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking perfectly clearly. Victor doesn't get to make demands. He doesn't get to win. Not this time. At what cost? Your life's work? Everything you've built? It's not worth anything if you're dead. And if you're destroyed trying to save me? What then? I'm alive, but you're ruined and everyone you employ loses their livelihood, and Victor wins anyway? Lena felt tears burning. That's not protection, Adrian. That's martyrdom. I don't care.
Well, I do. Her voice rose despite herself. I care that you're about to throw away 10 years of work for someone you barely know. I care that people who depend on you are going to suffer because you won't see reason. I care that you're so focused on keeping me alive, you're not seeing the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that without you, none of it matters. The words hung between them, raw, honest, terrifying. Lena stepped back, hand over her mouth. You can't mean that. I do. Every word. Adrian set down his phone. You asked what you are to me. That's your answer. You're the thing that makes all of this bearable. You're the reason I want to keep building instead of burning it all down. He stopped, searching for words. You're the first thing in 10 years that felt real instead of strategic, and I'm not giving that up. Not for Victor, not for anyone. Even if it destroys you? Even then. Lena felt something break inside her chest. This was love, twisted and possessive and completely unhealthy, but love nonetheless. The kind of love that ruined people, that consumed everything in its path, that ended in tragedy more often than triumph, and she was drowning in it. There has to be another way, she said desperately. Some solution that doesn't end with you losing everything. If there is, I haven't found it yet. Then look harder. Adrian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression went from grim to murderous. He just sent the location, an abandoned factory on the east side, public enough that if I don't show, everyone knows I folded, private enough that no witnesses survive if things go wrong. You're not actually considering this? I'm considering how to turn it into a trap, how to make Victor regret ever speaking your name. Adrian's eyes were cold, calculating. He wants a meet? Fine, but it'll be on my terms. Nix reappeared, tablet in hand. Found 3 possibles, all mid-level, all with access to schedules, all with recent deposits that don't match their salary. Bring them in, quietly. I want to know everything they know before Victor realizes they're compromised. And if they don't talk, make them talk. Adrian said it without hesitation, without mercy. Lena watched him transform from the man who'd held her while she slept to the criminal who'd killed 3 men without remorse. This was who he really was. This was the truth underneath the protection and the promises, and it should have sent her running. Instead, she heard herself say, "What do you need me to do?" Adrian looked at her sharply. "Nothing. You stay here. You stay safe. You let me handle this." That's not an option anymore. Victor made it about me, which means I have a say in how this ends. Lena, no. You don't get to lock me away while you wage war over me. If I'm the prize in this fight, then I get to choose how I'm used. Nix looked between them, then quietly excused herself. Adrian moved closer, voice dropping to something dangerous. You have no idea what you're asking for. Then explain it to me, in detail, every option, every risk, everything. Fine. Option 1, I go alone. I kill Victor and everyone he brings. High chance I don't make it out. Higher chance his organization retaliates against you afterward. Next option. Option 2, I give you to him. You die. He still probably comes after me anyway because he can't afford to look weak. Everyone loses. Next. Option 3. We run, disappear, start over somewhere he can't find us. Except there's nowhere he can't eventually find us. And running means abandoning everyone who works for me to whatever retaliation Victor decides. There has to be a 4th option. There isn't. Then we make one. Adrian stared at her like she'd grown a second head. You don't make options in situations like this. You choose from the terrible ones available and hope you survive. Or you change the game entirely. Lena's mind raced. Victor wants me as leverage. He wants you destroyed. What if we give him something better? Like what? Information, access, something valuable enough that he forgets about revenge and focuses on profit. You're suggesting I make a deal. I'm suggesting you survive, whatever that takes. Adrian's laugh was bitter. You really think Victor would accept a deal after I killed 3 of his men? I think he's a businessman first, and businessmen can be bought if the price is right. And what price do I have that he doesn't already want? Lena thought about the video,
about Victor's smooth voice and expensive suit, and the way he talked about Adrian's empire like it was a commodity to be acquired. He doesn't want partnership. He wants ownership. He wants what you have. So I just hand over everything I've built? That's your solution? I'm saying make him think you will. Make him think he's won, then turn it against him. Adrian went very still. That's a long game, dangerous, requires trust on both sides that doesn't exist. Do you have a better idea? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. Nix returned. The three possibles are in holding, ready when you are. Give me 10 minutes. Adrian looked at Lena. You should go back to the guest room. What happens next? You don't want to see it. Will it get you answers? Yes? Then I'm staying. Lena, you don't get to protect me from this anymore. If I'm part of your world now, then I see all of it. Good and bad, including the parts that keep me alive. Something in Adrian's expression shifted. Respect, maybe. Or horror at what she was becoming. Once you see this, you can't unsee it, can't unhear it, can't pretend it didn't happen. I know. And you still want to stay? I need to stay. I need to understand exactly what you're willing to do for me, so I know what I'm willing to do for you. Adrian studied her for a long moment, then nodded once. Okay, but you don't speak. You don't interfere. You just watch. Understood? Lena nodded. He led her to a room she hadn't seen before. Sparse, windowless, with chairs bolted to the floor and a drain in the center. 3 men sat bound in those chairs. Mid-30s, nervous, sweating despite the cold. Adrian walked in like he owned the air they breathed. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on such short notice. The first man, thin, sharp features, tried to bluff. I don't know what this is about. I haven't done anything wrong. No? Then explain the $15,000 deposited into your account last week, the encrypted messages to a number registered to Victor Hale, the suddenly flexible schedule that coincided perfectly with shipment delays. The man's face went pale. Adrian moved to the second man. You were smarter. Offshore account, burner phones. You almost covered your tracks, almost. But you got sloppy, sent a message from your personal phone thinking I wouldn't notice. I notice everything. The second man didn't bother denying it. Just sat there, resigned. The third man started talking immediately. He approached me 6 months ago. Said he just wanted information. Schedules. Routes. Nothing that would hurt anyone, just business intelligence. And you believed him? I needed the money. My daughter's medical bills. I don't care about your daughter. Adrian's voice was ice. I care that you sold me out. That you put everyone who works for me at risk. That you're the reason Lena was taken. The man's eyes found Lena. Widened. I didn't know he'd go after civilians, I swear. He said it was just business. It's always just business until someone dies. Adrian pulled out a knife. Nothing fancy. Just a blade that looked well used and terrifyingly practical. Lena's stomach turned. She forced herself to stay still, to watch, to understand. You have one chance, Adrian said calmly. Tell me everything, every detail, every conversation, every piece of information you passed. Do that, and you walk out of here alive. And if we don't? The sharp-featured man asked. Adrian smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Then I find out anyway. It just takes longer. And you don't walk out. For the next 30 minutes, Lena watched Adrian methodically extract information. He didn't use the knife. Didn't need to. His presence was enough. The weight of his attention, the absolute certainty that he would follow through on every threat. The men talked, all of them, gave up schedules and contacts and plans, painted a picture of Victor's strategy that was far more comprehensive than anyone realized. When they were done, Adrian made a gesture. Nix and 2 men Lena hadn't seen before appeared and removed the 3 informants. Where are they going? Lena asked. Somewhere far away, with enough money to disappear and a very clear understanding of what happens if they ever resurface. You're letting them live? They were pawns. Victor was the one moving them. I don't kill people for being desperate. I kill people for being malicious. Adrian wiped the knife clean, even though he'd never used it, and put it away. Did you learn what you needed to learn? That you're more controlled than I thought, more strategic, that you don't enjoy the violence, you just accept it as necessary. And does that change anything? Lena thought about it, really thought. No, It just means I understand you better. Adrian moved closer, cupped her face in his hands. I need you to understand something else. The plan you suggested, making Victor think he's won, then turning it against him, it could work, but it requires you to trust me completely, to play along with whatever I say, to not question me even when it looks like I'm betraying you. Why would it look like that? Because the only way Victor believes he's won is if he thinks I'm actually giving you up, if he thinks I've chosen my empire over you. I'll have to make it convincing, which means saying things that will hurt, doing things that look unforgivable. Can you handle that? Lena's breath caught. How convincing? Convincing enough that even you might believe it's real. But it won't be? It won't be. I promise. Every word will be a lie aimed at keeping you alive. And after? When Victor realizes he was played? That's when we end this, permanently. Lena searched his face, looking for doubt, for hesitation, for any sign he wasn't certain this would work. She found nothing but absolute conviction. Okay, she said, I trust you. You shouldn't. Too late. Adrian pulled her close and kissed her, hard, desperate, like he was trying to memorize the taste of her before everything went to hell. Lena kissed him back with equal intensity, equal desperation, equal certainty that this was either the smartest or stupidest thing she'd ever done. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Adrian pressed his forehead to hers. No matter what happens in the next 48 hours, remember this moment. Remember that I love you, even if I have to pretend I don't. The words hit like lightning. You love me? From the first time you bled honesty all over me and didn't apologize for it. I've just been too much of a coward to say it. He stepped back. Now I need to make a call. Need to set this trap before Victor gets impatient. He pulled out his phone and dialed. It rang once, twice. Then a voice Lena recognized from the video answered. Adrian, I was wondering when I'd hear from you. You want to meet? Fine. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., the location you sent. But I'm bringing Lena, and we're discussing terms. Terms? You want my organization? You can have it, under conditions. Silence. Then, I'm listening. Not over the phone, tomorrow, face to face. You, me, and witnesses from both sides to ensure everyone plays fair. And Lena? She'll be there, as a gesture of good faith. Another pause. Longer this time. Lena could practically hear Victor calculating angles, looking for traps. Fine, he said finally. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Come alone except for the girl. I'll do the same. And Adrian? If this is some elaborate trick, if you're planning to ambush me, I'll make sure you watch her die before I kill you. I understand. Victor hung up. Adrian lowered the phone, expression unreadable. Did he buy it? Lena asked. He's suspicious, but he wants what I'm offering badly enough to risk it. That gives us an opening. What happens tomorrow night? Tomorrow night you play the part of the terrified victim. The leverage that finally broke me. You cry. You beg. You make him believe you're desperate to escape me. And you? I play the part of the man who finally cracked, who chose power over love, who's willing to trade you for survival. Adrian's eyes were dark. By the end of the night, Victor will think he's won everything, and that's when we take it all back. How? Trust me, please. Lena wanted more details. Wanted a plan laid out step by step. Wanted something concrete to hold on to. But the look in Adrian's eyes stopped her. This was his world, his game, his rules. All she could do was trust he knew how to play it. Okay, she whispered. I trust you. Even though every instinct screamed she was making a mistake. Even though tomorrow she'd have to watch the man she loved pretend she meant nothing. Even though 48 hours from now, one of them might be dead. She trusted him and prayed it was enough. The next 36 hours passed in a blur of preparation. Nix drilled Lena on her role, how to cry on command, how to look beaten down, how to play the victim convincingly. Adrian coordinated with his people, positioning them around the factory without Victor's knowledge, setting contingencies and backup plans and escape routes. They barely spoke to each other. Too much to do, too much at stake, too much that could go wrong if they let emotion compromise strategy. But at night, when planning ended and fear crept in, Adrian would find his way to Lena's room, would hold her without speaking, would press promises into her skin through touch alone. This is real. I love you. I won't let you die. Trust me. Lena held on to those silent vows like lifelines. The day of the meeting arrived gray and cold. Lena dressed in the clothes Nix provided. Simple, worn, the kind of thing a woman being traded like property would wear. She pulled her hair back, washed off any makeup, made herself look small. Adrian appeared in dark clothes that made him look dangerous, remote. Nothing like the man who'd held her last night. You ready? He asked. No? Good. Fear will make you more convincing. He handed her a small device. Tracking chip. If anything goes wrong, if I give you any signal at all that things aren't going to plan, you run. Nix will find you. Get you out. Don't look back. I'm not leaving you. You will if I tell you to. That's non-negotiable. Lena wanted to argue. Didn't have time. Nix appeared with the SUV keys. It's time. The drive to the factory was silent. Lena watched the city slide past, wondering if this was the last time she'd see it, if Victor saw through their plan, if Adrian had miscalculated. They pulled up to the factory at 7:55. Early, strategic. The building was massive, abandoned for years, windows broken, graffiti covering every surface. The perfect place for violence to happen unseen. Victor's car was already there. Black. Expensive. 2 men standing outside as guards. Adrian parked 20 feet away, killed the engine, looked at Lena. Remember what we talked about. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, it's all part of the plan. I remember. I love you. I know. They got out, walked toward the factory entrance. The guards patted them down, found nothing because they'd brought nothing. This was supposed to be a negotiation, not a fight. Inside, the factory floor was vast and empty except for a table in the center. Victor sat on one side alone, exactly as promised. He gestured to the chairs across from him. Adrian, and this must be the infamous Lena Cross. Lena said nothing, kept her eyes down, played her part. Adrian pulled out her chair. She sat. He remained standing. You wanted to discuss terms, Victor said. I'm listening. You want my distribution network, my contacts, my infrastructure. You want everything I've built over the last decade. Adrian's voice was flat, businesslike. You can have it, all of it, in exchange for 3 things, which are: 1. My people transition peacefully. No retaliation, no purges. They work for you or they walk away clean. Done. Next. 2. You stay out of the trafficking business. I don't care what else you do, but you don't move people. That's non-negotiable. Victor's expression tightened, but he nodded. Fine. And the 3rd? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Then, Lena goes free. Completely free. No claims, no pursuit. She walks out of here and disappears from both our worlds forever. Lena's heart stopped. This was the part they'd prepared for, the part where Adrian had to sell the betrayal. But hearing it still felt like a knife to the chest. That's it? Victor asked. You're giving up your empire and the girl? Just like that? I'm choosing survival. She's a liability I can't afford anymore. Adrian didn't look at her. You were right. She's not worth everything. Nothing is. And if I say I want both, your empire and the girl, then we have a problem, because I need one of them to walk away from this with something. Victor studied him. You really don't care about her. I care about not dying. She's just the collateral damage of that choice. Lena felt tears burning. Real ones. Not because she believed it, but because hearing Adrian say it in that cold, dead voice made something inside her crack anyway. Victor stood, walked around the table, stopped in front of Lena. Look at me. She did. Met his eyes. Let him see the fear and pain and betrayal there. He's really selling you out, Victor said. After everything, you're just a bargaining chip to him. Lena didn't answer. Let the silence speak for her. Victor smiled. I accept your terms, Adrian. Your empire for her freedom. We'll start the transition tomorrow. You have 24 hours to brief your people. Agreed. Then we're done here. Victor extended his hand. Adrian shook it. And in that moment, Lena saw it. The flicker in Victor's eyes, the slight tension in his shoulders, the almost imperceptible shift in his weight. He was going to kill them anyway. The agreement was a lie. Had always been a lie. Victor never intended to let either of them walk out. Lena's hand moved to the tracking device in her pocket, pressed it, once, twice. The signal. Adrian's eyes met hers, saw the warning there. Actually, Victor said, pulling his hand back, I think I'll keep both after all. He moved fast, gun appearing from nowhere, aimed at Adrian's chest, but Adrian moved faster, dove left, tackled Lena out of her chair, shielded her with his body as gunshots erupted. Glass shattered. The factory erupted with noise. Nick's and Adrian's people poured in from every entrance. Victor's guards returned fire. Adrian hauled Lena to her feet. Run! Now! Not without you! I'm right behind you! Go! She ran, through smoke and gunfire and chaos. Felt Adrian's hand on her back, pushing her toward the exit. Heard him grunt, impact, pain, but he kept moving. They burst through a side door into the night. The SUV was 50 feet away. Lena's legs burned. Her lungs screamed. 20 feet. 10. They reached the car. Adrian shoved her inside, climbed in after her. Blood spread across his shirt, dark. Too much. Adrian, drive! He gasped at Nix, who appeared from nowhere and took the wheel. Drive now! The SUV peeled out. Behind them, the factory blazed with light and sound and violence. Lena pressed her hands to Adrian's wound, trying to stop the bleeding, trying to keep him alive. I knew, he managed. Knew he'd betray us, counted on it. You're bleeding. I'm fine. Kevlar caught most of it, just grazed. He was lying. She could see how pale he'd gone, how his breathing had turned shallow. Did we get him? Did someone confirm? Nix's voice from the front. Victor's down. Not dead, but down. Your people have him. Good. Adrian's eyes found Lena's. I'm sorry for what I said in there. I know. I know it wasn't real. It felt real. Saying I didn't care. Felt like cutting out my own heart. But you did it. To keep me alive. To make the trap work. It didn't work. He saw through it. No. Lena cradled his face. You saw through him. You knew he'd turn on us, and you planned for it. You saved us. Adrian's laugh turned into a cough. Blood flecked his lips. Barely. And now Victor's people will retaliate. This isn't over. It's just beginning. Then we'll face it. Together. Together, he echoed. His eyes slipped closed. Adrian, Adrian! Nix's voice cut through the panic. Hospital's 2 minutes out. He'll make it. He's tougher than he looks. Lena held Adrian's hand. Felt his pulse. Weak but steady. Watched his chest rise and fall. Prayed to whoever might be listening that he'd survive this, that they both would. Because the twist wasn't Victor's betrayal. It was realizing that surviving meant becoming exactly what they'd fought against. It meant Lena could no longer pretend to be innocent, could no longer claim distance from Adrian's world. She'd pressed that tracking device, given the signal, triggered the violence that erupted in that factory. She'd chosen this life. And there was no going back. The SUV screamed toward the hospital lights. Behind them, the city burned with the consequences of their choices. And Lena held the hand of the man who'd destroyed her normal life and wondered if she'd just destroyed his in return. Or if maybe, just maybe, they'd destroyed each other. And somehow that was exactly what they both needed. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and fear. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting everything in sickly yellow-white. Lena sat in a plastic chair outside the operating room, hands still stained with Adrian's blood, watching the second hand on the wall clock tick forward with agonizing slowness. 3 hours. He'd been in surgery for 3 hours. Nick stood against the opposite wall, phone pressed to her ear, voice low and urgent. Coordinating, damage control, making sure Victor's retaliation didn't catch them while Adrian was laid open on a table fighting for his life. Lena's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She'd washed them twice in the bathroom sink, scrubbed until her skin turned raw, but she could still feel the sticky warmth of his blood between her fingers. Could still hear the wet sound of his breathing as the bullet wound leaked despite the Kevlar that should have protected him. The vest had caught the first 2 shots. The third had found the gap under his arm where fabric met skin. 3 inches to the left, and it would have missed entirely. 3 inches to the right, and it would have shredded his lung. Instead, it had torn through muscle and nicked an artery and turned a successful escape into a race against death. A doctor emerged through the swinging doors, surgical mask pulled down, exhaustion etched in every line of his face. He was young, too young to have Adrian's life in his hands, but his eyes were steady when he found Lena. "Are you family?" "Yes." The lie came automatically. They weren't married, weren't engaged, had known each other barely 2 months, but she was the closest thing to family Adrian had in this hospital. "Is he alive?" "He's stable. We stopped the bleeding, repaired the artery. He lost a lot of blood, but the transfusions are holding. He's strong, lucky. Another 10 minutes, and—" The doctor stopped himself. "He's going to make it. That's what matters." Lena felt something give way inside her chest, relief so intense it hurt. "When can I see him?" "He's in recovery now, still under anesthesia. Give it another hour, then you can sit with him, but—" The doctor's expression turned cautious. "The police are asking questions. Gunshot wounds get reported. They're going to want to talk to both of you." Nix appeared at Lena's shoulder. "We'll handle the police." "Thank you, doctor." He nodded and disappeared back through the swinging doors. Lena turned to Nix. "What do we tell them?"
Nothing. You don't talk to cops without a lawyer present, ever. Nix pulled out her phone.
"Caroline's already on her way. She'll handle the statement. You just sit there and look traumatized. Shouldn't be hard." It wasn't. Lena felt traumatized straight down to her bones. 20 minutes later, 2 detectives showed up. A man and a woman, both carrying the kind of weariness that came from seeing too much violence and too few answers. They introduced themselves, Detective Chen and Detective Ramirez, and asked if Lena would mind answering a few questions. "My client won't be making any statements without counsel present," Caroline said, materializing from wherever lawyers materialized from. She looked immaculate despite the late hour. Not a hair out of place. "If you'd like to schedule a formal interview, you can contact my office." Detective Chen's mouth tightened. "We're just trying to understand what happened. Mr. Voss was shot. Ms. Cross was present. We need to know if this was random violence or something more targeted. My client has no information that would assist your investigation at this time." "So she's refusing to cooperate?" "She's exercising her constitutional rights. There's a difference." The detectives exchanged glances. Detective Ramirez focused on Lena. "Ms. Cross, if you're in danger, if someone's threatening you, we can help. We can protect you." The irony almost made Lena laugh. The police couldn't protect her from men like Victor Hale, couldn't navigate the world Adrian lived in, couldn't stop what was coming. "I'm fine," Lena said quietly. "Thank you. Are you sure? Because your name keeps appearing in our files. First a complaint from your ex-boyfriend about threats, then a kidnapping report that mysteriously disappeared. Now you're present at a shooting involving a known criminal. That's not a coincidence." My client has nothing further to say. Caroline's voice was steel wrapped in silk. "Unless you're charging her with something, this conversation is over." The detectives left, but their skeptical expressions promised this wasn't finished. They'd keep digging, keep asking questions, keep trying to build a case against Adrian using Lena as the weak link. Caroline waited until they were out of earshot. "They're right, you know. Your name is becoming a problem. Too many incidents, too many connections to Adrian. If they decide to flip you, offer immunity in exchange for testimony, this gets complicated. I won't testify against him. They'll pressure you, threaten you with obstruction charges, paint you as an accomplice, make you choose between your freedom and his. There's no choice. I already made it." Caroline studied her for a long moment. "You understand what you're saying? You're willing to go to prison to protect him?" "If it comes to that, yes." "That's either the most loyal or most foolish thing I've ever heard." "Probably both." Caroline's expression softened fractionally. "He's lucky to have you. Not many people would burn their whole life down for him. He did it for me first." "That he did." Caroline checked her watch. "I need to make some calls, prepare for the inevitable follow-up. You should sit with Adrian. He'll want to see you when he wakes up." Lena found her way to recovery. The nurse at the desk gave her a sympathetic smile and pointed to room 412. Lena pushed through the door and stopped. Adrian looked small in the hospital bed. Wrong. He was supposed to be strong and dangerous and in control. Instead, he was pale and still, machines beeping softly around him, IV lines running into his arms, bandages wrapped around his torso. Lena pulled a chair close and took his hand. It was warm, solid, real. "You're an idiot," she whispered, "taking a bullet for me. What were you thinking?" Adrian's fingers twitched. His eyes fluttered but didn't open, still too deep under the anesthesia. Lena sat there and watched him breathe. In and out, steady, alive. The relief hadn't fully hit yet. She was still bracing for the moment someone came running in to say there were complications, internal bleeding, something they'd missed. But the machines kept beeping their steady rhythm, and Adrian kept breathing. And slowly, inch by inch, Lena let herself believe he was going to survive this. "You need to wake up," she said softly. "Because we have a problem. Victor's still alive. And when he recovers, and he will recover, he's going to come after us with everything he has. So I need you. Need you awake and planning and figuring out how we survive what comes next." Adrian's hand squeezed hers. Barely there, but definite. His eyes opened, unfocused, hazy with drugs, but open. "Lena." Her name came out rough, dry, like sandpaper on stone. "I'm here. I'm right here." "Victor?" "Wounded, in custody. Your people have him at a secure location." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Not dead?" "Not yet. Should have." He coughed, winced. "Should have made sure." "You were busy bleeding out. Priorities." A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "Always so practical." "One of us has to be." Lena brushed hair off his forehead. "How do you feel?" "Like I got shot." "Funny." "It's the drugs, making me witty." His eyes started to drift closed again. "Stay." "I'm not going anywhere. Promise." "I promise." He slipped back under. Lena sat there holding his hand, listening to machines, and tried not to think about what happened next. About Victor. About retaliation. About the war they'd just escalated beyond any possibility of peaceful resolution. Nix appeared in the doorway. "We have a situation." Of course they did, because nothing could be simple, not for 5 minutes. What kind of situation? The kind where Victor's second-in-command just sent a message to every major player in the city. He's offering a bounty. $1 million for proof of Adrian's death, $500,000 for information leading to his location. Nix's expression was grim. Every mercenary, every desperate criminal, every person who thinks they can take down Adrian Voss is going to be hunting him now. Lena's blood went cold. "Can we move him? Get him somewhere safe? Not for at least 48 hours. Doctor says moving him before then could reopen the wound. We're stuck here." "Then we turn this hospital into a fortress." "Already happening. I've got people on every entrance, cameras monitoring every hallway. But Lena," Nix moved closer, voice dropping. "This hospital has 300 beds, dozens of staff, hundreds of visitors daily. We can't control all of them, can't guarantee someone doesn't slip through. So what do? We prepare for the worst, and we hope Adrian wakes up fast enough to tell us how to fix this mess." The next 12 hours were tense. Adrian drifted in and out of consciousness, never fully lucid, always in pain despite the medication. Lena stayed by his side, leaving only for bathroom breaks and coffee runs, refusing to let him wake up alone. Nix rotated security in shifts, checked credentials of every nurse and doctor who entered, made the hospital staff's life miserable with her paranoia. But no one complained because everyone could feel it, the weight of danger pressing against the walls, waiting for an opening. By morning, Adrian was more alert. Still weak, but coherent enough to understand when Nix explained the bounty situation. "Victor's second," he said, voice stronger than yesterday, but still rough. "Marcus Kane, smart, ruthless, more patient than Victor ever was." "Can we negotiate with him?" Lena asked. "No, Marcus doesn't negotiate. He eliminates. That's his whole philosophy." Adrian tried to sit up, hissed in pain, settled back. "We need to move first, before he organizes a coordinated assault." "You're not moving anywhere," Nix said flatly. "Doctor's orders. Then we bring Victor here, force Marcus to choose between his boss and his revenge." "That's insane." "It's leverage, the only kind Marcus understands." Adrian's eyes found Lena's. "You need to make the call. Offer an exchange. Victor's life for safe passage out of the city. They'll never agree. They will if they think Victor's about to die anyway, if they think we're desperate enough to trade him just to escape. Are we that desperate? Yes. No hesitation. We can't fight the entire underworld from a hospital room. We need an exit. This gives us one. Lena looked at Nix. Is this crazy? Completely, but it might work. Nix pulled out her phone. I'll make the call. Set up the meet. But Lena, you need to be ready to run. The second things go sideways, you get Adrian out. Don't wait for confirmation. Don't look back. Just run. I'm not leaving him. You will if it keeps him alive. Lena wanted to argue, didn't have the energy, just nodded and turned back to Adrian. This better work. It will. Marcus is logical. He'll see the value in keeping Victor alive. And if he doesn't, then we improvise. That was what terrified her, the improvisation. The moment plans shattered, and instinct took over and people died because someone guessed wrong. Nix made the call. Arrange the exchange for midnight. Neutral ground, equal numbers, Victor for safe passage. Marcus agreed faster than expected. Too fast. Which meant he was planning something. They all knew it, and they were doing it anyway. The hours crawled toward midnight. Adrian slept when the pain led him, woke when it didn't. Lena sat vigil, one hand on his, the other on the panic button Nix had given her. Just press and hold. 3 seconds. People would come running, assuming they got there in time. At 11 p.m., 2 orderlies arrived with a wheelchair. Adrian's protest was weak, mostly for show. He couldn't walk yet, could barely sit up without help. The wheelchair was necessity, not choice. They moved him carefully, Lena hovering close, Nix leading the way with one hand inside her jacket, where a gun was definitely holstered. The hospital was eerily quiet this late, most visitors gone, staff minimal. Just the dying and the desperate and the people who watched over both. They took a service elevator down to the basement loading dock. The van was already there, black, reinforced, windows tinted dark enough to be illegal. Nix opened the back doors. Adrian transferred from wheelchair to van with Lena's help, breathing hard by the time he was settled. You okay? She asked. Define okay. Conscious, not bleeding. Then yes, barely. Nix climbed into the driver's seat. 2 of Adrian's men took the front passenger and rear guard positions. Lena sat beside Adrian, close enough to catch him if he collapsed. The drive to the exchange point took 20 minutes. An old shipping yard by the docks, abandoned after the economy crashed, perfect for violence that needed to stay quiet. Shipping containers stacked like metal walls. Shadows everywhere. 1,000 places for ambush. They pulled in exactly at midnight. 3 other vehicles were already there, arranged in a semicircle. Headlights on, creating a pool of harsh white light in the center of darkness. Marcus Kane stood in that light. Mid-40s, built like someone who'd spent years fighting his way up from nothing. He wore a suit, but it looked wrong on him, like putting silk on a shark. Behind him, Victor Hale sat in a wheelchair, similar to Adrian's, bandages visible under his shirt. Face bruised, but alive. Conscious. And furious. Nix got out first. Then Adrian's men. They helped Adrian out of the van, supporting him when his legs threatened to give. Lena stayed close, one hand on his elbow, pretending she was there for emotional support, when really she was keeping him upright. They walked into the light. Marcus smiled. It was the smile of a predator who'd already won and was just waiting for prey to realize it. Adrian Voss, you look terrible. Marcus Kane, you look exactly the same, which is its own tragedy. Adrian's voice was steady despite the pain. I believe we have an arrangement. Victor for safe passage. We do. Question is whether you're in any position to enforce it. Marcus gestured and more men appeared from between the containers. 10, 15, 20, all armed, all professional. I could kill you right here, Marcus continued conversationally. Take the bounty. Let Victor die from his injuries because frankly he got us into this mess. Walk away with $1 million and no competition for his territory. But you won't. Won't I? No. Because you're smart enough to know I didn't come here without insurance. And if I die, that insurance triggers. Victor dies. You die. Everyone within 100 feet dies. Adrian's bluff was perfect. Absolute conviction. So we can all walk away tonight. Or we can all die tonight. Your choice. Marcus studied him, looking for tells, for weakness, for any sign the insurance was fake. Whatever he saw made him laugh. You're either the ballsiest man I've ever met or the stupidest. I haven't decided which. Can be both. Fair enough. Marcus snapped his fingers. Two of his men wheeled Victor forward. Here's your safe passage. Take Victor. Leave the city. Don't come back. We'll pretend this never happened. It was too easy. Way too easy. Adrian knew it. Lena could see the calculation in his eyes. Weighing options. Running scenarios. One condition, Adrian said. Lena goes free. Completely free. No bounty. No pursuit. She's a civilian who got dragged into this. She walks away clean. Marcus looked at Lena for the first time. Really looked, taking her measure. The girl who started all this with a wrong number. The one Victor grabbed. The reason we're all standing here instead of doing actual business. That's the one. And you want me to just let her go? Forget she exists? Yes. In exchange for what? In exchange for Victor's life. And the knowledge that if anything happens to her, anything at all, I come back. And I don't come back to negotiate. The threat hung in the air. Lena could feel tension ratcheting higher, fingers drifting toward weapons. One wrong word and this whole thing exploded. Marcus smiled again. Deal. The girl goes free. You take Victor and disappear. We all live to fight another day. He extended his hand. Adrian reached for it, and Lena saw the knife. Marcus was left-handed. The handshake was a distraction. The blade was already moving toward Adrian's exposed side, toward the bandages, toward the wound that would reopen and bleed and kill him in minutes. Lena moved without thinking, shoved Adrian backward, threw herself between him and the knife. The blade caught her across the ribs. Not deep, she twisted at the last second, but enough. Pain exploded white-hot and immediate. Chaos erupted. Nix fired first. Marcus's men returned fire. Adrian's people shot back. The shipping yard became a war zone in seconds. Lena felt Adrian's arms around her, pulling her down, shielding her with his body despite his own injuries. They hit the ground hard. Adrian grunted in pain but didn't let go. Stay down, he gasped. Don't move. Bullets ricocheted off metal. Someone screamed. Glass shattered. The van's engine roared to life. Nix appeared out of nowhere, firing with both hands, providing cover. Go, now! Adrian hauled Lena to her feet. They ran, stumbled, really, both injured, both bleeding, toward the van. Nix backed up with them, still firing, buying seconds with bullets. They reached the van. Adrian shoved Lena inside, climbed in after her. Nix jumped in last and slammed the doors as the van peeled out. Behind them, the firefight continued. Muzzle flashes like lightning. The sound of metal tearing, men dying. The van fishtailed around a corner, then another, putting distance between them and the ambush. Lena pressed her hand to her side. Blood seeped between her fingers. Not arterial, not immediately fatal, but bad enough. Adrian saw it and his face went white. You're hurt. I'm fine. You're bleeding. So are you. He was. The exertion had reopened his wound. Fresh blood stained the bandages. They were both dying, just slowly. Nix was on the phone, barking coordinates, demanding extraction. We need a doctor. Now. Both of them are hit. Where are we going? Lena managed. Safe house on the north side. Medical team's already en route. Nix met her eyes in the rearview mirror. You're going to be okay. Both of you. Lena wanted to believe her, but the van was spinning. Or maybe that was blood loss. Hard to tell. Adrian's hand found hers squeezed tight. Stay with me. I'm trying. Try harder. Bossy. Always. His voice was fading, getting distant. Lena, what you did back there saved your life. You're welcome. Stupid. Reckless. Could have died. Could say the same about you. I love you. The words were getting slurred, consciousness slipping. Lena fought to stay focused. Love you too, which is why you're not allowed to die. Understand? Yes, ma'am. His eyes closed. Adrian? Adrian! Nix's voice cut through the panic. He's breathing. Pulse is steady. He just passed out. Keep pressure on your wound. We're 5 minutes out. 5 minutes felt like forever. The van screeched to a stop. Doors opened. Hands reached in. Professional, efficient, medical. Someone was talking to her, but the words were underwater, distant. She felt herself being lifted, carried, placed on something soft. Bright lights overhead, a mask over her face, someone telling her to count backward from 10, 10, 9, 8, Adrian's hand in hers, 7, 6, the factory, the bullets, the blood. 5, 4, Marcus's smile before the knife. 3, 2, 1. Lena woke to quiet. Not the oppressive silence of danger, but the gentle quiet of safety. Machines beeped softly. Somewhere far away, traffic hummed. She opened her eyes. Unfamiliar ceiling, unfamiliar room, but clean, sterile. A private medical facility by the look of it. Her side throbbed dully. She looked down, bandages wrapped around her torso, clean and white. An IV in her arm. Heart monitor showing a steady rhythm. Alive. She was alive. Adrian, she croaked. Her throat was desert dry. He's alive too. Nix appeared in her peripheral vision, looking exhausted. Surgery went well, wounds closed. He's sleeping it off down the hall. Relief hit so hard Lena's eyes burned. What happened? After the van? We got you both here. Trauma surgeon patched you up. You've been out for 16 hours. Nix sat in the chair beside the bed. Marcus escaped. So did most of his people. But we got Victor. Victor? He was still in the wheelchair when the shooting started. Got caught in the crossfire. Didn't make it. Lena processed that. Victor Hale was dead. The man who'd orchestrated her kidnapping, who'd put a bounty on Adrian's head, who'd started this whole war. So it's over? Not even close. Nix's expression was grim. Victor's death just created a power vacuum. Every player in the city is going to scramble for control of his territory. Marcus is positioning himself as successor, which means he's still hunting Adrian, still wants him dead to prove he's the new alpha. Can't we just leave? Disappear like we said? We could. But Adrian won't. Not with Marcus spreading lies about what happened. Not with his reputation on the line. He'll want to settle this permanently. Even if it kills him? Especially then. Pride matters in his world, more than survival sometimes. Lena closed her eyes. This was never going to end. Not really. There would always be another Marcus, another Victor, another threat, unless they ended it first. I want to see him, she said. Doctor says you need another day, bait. Now. I want to see him now. Nick studied her, then nodded. I'll get you a wheelchair. They moved Lena down the hall, IV pole and all. Adrian's room was identical to hers, except he had twice as many machines monitoring him. He lay still, eyes closed, chest rising and falling with mechanical precision, but alive, breathing, real. Nix positioned the wheelchair beside his bed and left them alone. Lena took Adrian's hand. You better wake up because we need to talk. About Marcus. About what comes next. About whether we're really going to keep doing this until one of us doesn't wake up. Adrian's fingers twitched. His eyes opened, clearer than before, more focused. You're awake. So are you. Surprised? Terrified. When you jumped in front of that knife, his jaw worked. Don't ever do that again. Can't promise that. Lena, no. You don't get to take bullets for me and then complain when I return the favor. This goes both ways now. We protect each other, equally, or not at all. Adrian stared at her. You've changed. So have you. We've both changed. Question is whether we're okay with what we're becoming. Are you? Okay with it? Lena thought about the factory, about pressing the tracking device, about watching men die because of choices she'd made, about stabbing pain and blood and fear and still standing afterward. I don't know, she admitted. Part of me is horrified. Part of me feels more alive than I ever have. Part of me wants to run and never stop. And part of me wants to stay and see this through, all the way through. And which part wins? The part that loves you more than it fears what loving you costs. Adrian's expression cracked. That's the most beautiful and terrifying thing anyone's ever said to me. You said something similar once. Guess we're even. He pulled her closer, carefully, mindful of both their injuries, pressed his forehead to hers. Marcus isn't going to stop. You know that. I know. He'll keep coming. Keep escalating until one of us is dead. So we kill him first. The words came out